Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. But you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
Retro Esports trying to find the angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a roll. Whoa! Deep flag! White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
A beast mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Safety gonna give themselves a big old 4K. Oh. 50 getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now it's before he's hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick onto Linky. They're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. They need to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Pibble Platoon, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the ace? They get the ace.
Good evening, folks. Welcome to CGL. We are here with some EU Masters Grand Finals. It's all come down to this. We are here at the very end of the playoff run. It is myself, Rags. I'm joined by Megalast to take you through all of today's action with this series. But of course, before we go through the game itself, this is, after all, the last match of this division for the season here, CGL 17. So first, to kick things off, we've got some awards to talk about here for some of our brightest stars of the division all throughout this season. We've got, it's one of our small divisions, to be fair, but still well fought over here for all of these highly sought after victories, looking at the top managers, tanks, supports, rookies, roles, everything else, and more here on our award show to kick things off.
Yes, certainly. You know, it's always fun to get those awards in at the end of the season, you know, make sure everybody gets a chance to vote, because again, it's been a long season. Everybody wants to know that their effort was well worth it here, and while a trophy is nice for winning the whole dang thing, sometimes being able to say that you stood out in your role or what you were doing is enough as well to really be an exemplary model. So we've got some lovely awards to hand out today for the EU Masters tier.
So we'll get right into it here, folks. To kick things off, we are looking at our first award here, Manager of the Season for this division. We have a few different people who lined up. Of course, we've got the top 3 here looking at this. Your 3rd place runner-up here is going to be Shadowy. Your 2nd place, the silver, goes to Gold-Blooded, but of course, the winner for us here in EU Masters, it's got to be How to Draw here. With us now from a plate group, we've got Big Shrimpin, it looks like, to join us here. Hello, Big Shrimpin.
Hi. Hello there.
Oh, there we go. There's the draw. Fantastic. All right. Welcome, How to Draw. You are our manager of the season. How you feeling with this one?
Yeah, it's nice. Personally, I don't know. Managing, it seems like you just schedule and, you know, make sure people turn up to things, but it's nice to be recognized.
Listen, nice to be recognized indeed here, because, you know, managers, they kind of have to operate things, you know, behind the scenes. We all get to see the matches and things like that, but the one to schedule scrims, the one to sort of keep ducks in a row, it obviously, you know, has those moments where it could be frustrating, but probably very rewarding as well, if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, it can definitely be frustrating, you know, trying to, like, organize a match when all of your team can only do, like, one individual day or whatever. That can be a bit difficult, but mostly my team. Honestly, having a good team just makes it, like, very easy. Like, my team's very, like, communicative, cooperative, you know, just makes it very easy. Also, they were managers in this division for the most part, very easy to schedule with, particularly, like, Goldblood and Shadowy, so it's, having a good team makes it easy. Having, like, our managers here, like, you know, organized whatnot makes it very easy as well. So, like, if those ducks line up, it's, you know, it's fine.
Nice. Well, no doubt. Glad to hear it. Why don't you hang around just for no reason in particular here as we talk about our Tank Roll Star Award for EU Masters Division. Looking at our runners-up, third place is Ghost Town from one of the teams we'll be seeing here today. That is from the side of Pibble Platoon. Second place, our runner-up is Geo. And first place winner for our Tank Roll Star, that is How to Draw once again from Play Group. Congratulations for the second honor bestowed upon you here. What has it been like leading your team as the tank all season long?
I mean, it's been good. Like, my team's an absolute dream to play with. It's like they make it really easy for me. Like, I can't show out my team enough. They make like the game really easy to play. So yeah, I wouldn't look nearly as good without them.
Yeah, I mean 100%. The tanks, they're always having to be the person, on the battlefield who's doing the wrangling, almost like a manager, if you will, in the game here. So I guess that sort of that overlap certainly helps here. And I mean, hey, listen, yeah, able to put together a solid team that's doing some solid work in this matchup here. So it's been absolutely amazing to see.
Yeah, thank you.
One more thing for you, How to Draw, before we let you go get ready for the match. We have an award here, the Fish Award for Sportsmanship, being a role model as a team overall for the division. And that is an award that is going to Play Group for this season. Congratulations to your team for being exemplary, outshining everybody else, really leading from the front, looking, having other teams, the entire division looking to y'all as being, kind of exemplary sportsmen coming into this. What comes to mind thinking about how your team might be these kind of role models for the rest of the division?
Honestly, I don't know. I guess we just care ourselves well. We haven't really thought about it. I didn't even know this award was a thing. It's really wholesome, actually. I didn't even know. But yeah, no, I didn't expect to get that. That's really nice. I think the whole team will be happy with it. It's just, yeah, I guess we just like conduct ourselves how we conduct ourselves, try not to be too toxic or anything like that, and yeah.
Hey, listen, at the end of the day, that's sort of what the award represents here, because, online spaces, especially gaming spaces, it's very easy for things to go toxic very quickly and almost be overlooked here. So still to be a shining force just within your division as well as the league as a whole here, it's very amazing to see when people are, again, willing to share that kindness and things of that nature. So just shout out to Play Group as a whole here for being able to, be exemplary in that regard.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, How to Draw, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to let you go now and get ready for your upcoming match. Good luck.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
All right, next up we have the award looking at the Support Role Star for this Masters division. We've had a few particular, candidates looking at this here. Your third place, your second runner-up is Jin, your second place, Geo, and your, of course, winner here for Support Role Star is Big Shrimpin, who is returned to us this time in the correct order. Welcome, Big Shrimp, to the broadcast. You are a Support Role Star for the season. How you feeling wearing that badge of honor?
Surprised. I mean, I wasn't entirely expecting to sort of win. It's my first season in Masters Division, at least. I played a couple of years ago. But, I mean, I'm really grateful that I was nominated by my team, and then also that I was actually even voted for by other people. It feels sort of strange, but I mean, yeah, I'm really happy about it.
I mean, hey, listen, it's something to certainly be happy about, especially when you look at a role like support. It's obviously diversified, not just across, your main and flex supports and things like that, but just everything the role encompasses here. It feels like you do have to do a lot within a team, and, also being flexible on top of it. That's very much a part of, core lineups and things like that. Every team needs that ever reliable support, but, you were able to stand out high and above here, so congrats to you again, Big Shrimpin.
Thank you, yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, and once again, we're going to let you go get ready for your match. Best of luck in the grand finals.
Uh,
Don't worry, no pressure. You've got it. I believe in you. You know, all that good stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, here next up for our award show, we're going to talk about our Rookie of the Season. Now, Megalas, this isn't exactly a particularly deep pool to choose from here for our nominations of eligible rookies. There are no runner-ups. We just have one to mention, but of course, is an exceptional one at that. It's going to be Geo from Pibble Platoon, so that means we're going to be seeing Geo playing and bearing out the exact reasons why he was chosen as Rookie of the Year in this match upcoming in just a few minutes, folks.
Yeah, exactly. Not able to be here, more focused on that warm up, which hey, completely understand here. But again, CGL, it's very much a community based thing. So to come in as one of the new players, and leave your mark, it certainly is a difficult task to do, but a task that Geo has done exemplary at here, and we'll get to see some amazing evidence of that in this matchup today.
We surely will, folks. Moving right along, there's no interviews for these last few here, so we're just going to read them out, of course, honor these winners here at the end of the season before we dive into the real action of the Grand Finals matchup. Next is the greatest coach for the season, looking at this division once again. We have just a single runner-up here, that is Horseboy, and your winner here from the team that is going to be from Play Group, once again, that is by Polar Bear, your coach of the season. Yeah, we kind of highlighted it both on the manager level and the tank level. The coach kind of combines all those roles together in one, able to organize and lead the team through scrims, through matches, through everything, thick and thin. And honestly, with as narrow a bracket as it's been here, you kind of have to work all the harder in this division in particular.
Yeah, coaches, they can be the thing that elevates a team from good to great. I mean, look at what's happening across different leagues and things like that, how a coach really can be the exemplary part. They come in with a game plan, they help, educate people and help them learn to improve, not just for the matches, but just overall as a player to help them learn and grow. So, good coaches will obviously always make or break teams, and so it really is just an honor to be able to emphasize Bipolar Bear here.
All right, and in the last couple here, we want to highlight our MVP of the season for this division, of course. Again, we mentioned it's kind of a narrow field, but of course that just means the competition is all the harder. So as your MVP, the second runner-up, your third place is Mitsuri. I believe someone who we are going to see in this next matchup. That's from the team Pibble Platoon. Your second runner-up is Balerion, and your winner here, Geo, is your MVP for the season. Well earned, well deserved. Is going to be taking a break, doesn't have to worry about fighting for the gold here in the Grand Finals, but still a strong showing all season long. And again, a very hotly contested division this was.
Yeah, and again, it just, those MVP races, because obviously you have your role stars where you want to highlight each role individually, but sometimes there is just a player on one specific, role that goes above and beyond, where that if it wasn't for them, their team just would not be the same here. And so that's why we have to highlight Geo. Important to emphasize different Geo from our rookie, spelled two different ways, but ultimately, again, just lovely to highlight. Also, this Geo, don't know if you know, he's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, it's always a joy having to cast those two teams against each other, but again, something we'll have to worry about coming into this last one. And of course, lastly, folks, for this award show to round things off is our Damage Roll Star. This one, not a surprise here whatsoever. Looking at your runners-up, you've got Mitsuri from Pibble Platoon as your third place. Nobody in second place, the player, not nobody, and that's going to lead off with our winner, your DPS Roll Star for the EU Masters Division for the CGL 17 season. That's Balerion from Playgroup, of course, in the midst of prepping for the match right now. Well deserved, well earned, and of course, we're going to have a chance to see exactly how those DPS shops come to pass in this upcoming series.
Yeah, like we highlighted with the other roles, DPS players, they have to, again, stand tall, be very flexible, especially nowadays. I mean, you look, it's the most diverse role by a fair margin here, and it's not just enough to be able to play one or two characters. Even your one tricks have to be able to exemplify themselves and expand beyond it here. And so, again, just another solid showing from another great player here. And, with how much Plate Group has won in these awards, I'm wondering if they're going to go into this matchup with a chip on their shoulder and they have to be ready for.
Yeah, they certainly need to be able to pay off all this applause, all the awards coming their way, and they've made a really good showing for themselves so far in these latter stages of the playoff bracket. But folks, that's going to do it here for the award show that we kick things off. We're going to go to a quick break here before we dive into the match, but on the other side, it is the grand finals for EU Masters Division. Do not go anywhere. You do not want to miss this series.
Memories.
I'm not crazy, Malin. I'm not crazy, Malin. I've just been in a very bad mood for 40 years. 40 years.
Carpe diem. Carpe diem.
Sitting in a 4v3.
Everfrog Esports trying to find what angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a wall. They're gonna deflect. White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
The Beast Mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Santi gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Santi's getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Saga4 is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick on the Leaky. They're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Manages to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3. Melophobia starting the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Pibble Platoon, they have to play aggressively into this energy, popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the ace? They get the ace.
Welcome back, folks. Here it is, the moment you've all been waiting for. We've done the awards, we've done the bracket, we've done the season overall, and now we are here in the grand finals for our EU Masters Division. It is Plate Group versus Pibble Platoon. It's all come down to this. My name is Rags. I am joined once again by Megalas to break it all down for you as it happens, folks. This is a first to four series, a long one here potentially ahead of us, and these two teams both desperate to make the victory theirs.
Exactly. You know, you hit it on the head. These teams have been playing it out an entire season, an entire bracket later. They are the two that stand at the other end of it, but obviously the job's not done. You still got to get through this matchup itself here. But you're trying to look into this matchup, try to see what we have going on here. It's just going to be, again, taking a look at how this is all going down. Starting off on the as per usual Lijiang Tower. I mean, this is the map that both teams have been picking. Or really every team has been picking across all the brackets.
Yeah, this is the default control map, so no surprises that it's going to be here for our grand finals, but crucially here, Plate Group have passed on the chance to choose their map and ban first to Pibble Platoon. Honestly, I'm kind of in favor of that, seeding the ground, because so many teams want to go to Lijiang Tower, as you highlighted, Megalas. There's not really that much impetus towards having that first map choice on control at the very least, and having second ban can often be more impactful, especially considering a lot of these teams have very similar wants in terms of how they want to run. I'm thinking backline in particular coming into control.
It certainly is something that you have to keep in mind, right? It feels almost like mind games that you can play with the ban phase here. There's lots of different things that can be taken into account as you're going through it. But Pibble Platoon could take advantage of this first choice, right? I mean, they knew we were going to get Lijiang regardless of who ended up picking it. So now you're going into this trying to think of, okay, so do we try to scout and figure out what we know about this team to go for a first ban? Or do we just try to protect something, right? Say we know we want to play a certain tank or something, you go ban tank out just to benefit yourself on the other side of that. But it'll actually be a Kiri ban, one of the most popular supports for a while now to start things off.
Yeah, of course, that makes it quite a significant ban here out the gate. You can easily run. I know that there's a good undercurrent of some Lucio Bap gameplay to be had here, so it wouldn't surprise me if we see that rolling out on Lijiang Tower to kick things off. But also that opens up Kiriko for the rest of the series here, unless, of course, the other team, Plate Group, wants to ban it out later on down the line. But yeah, as you highlighted, Megalast, a very impactful ban, a very constantly, present hero at the metagame at all levels. So tells me we've got something cooking here for Pibble Platoon at the very least.
Something cooking indeed here, something that they definitely may be ready for in this matchup. We will have to see exactly what they want to do, and it's going to be the Ramatra ban, so taking away this sort of backup pick that a lot of people have been relying on, instead gonna maybe force it to something more traditional that we've been seeing, like the Diva or other options in that sort of area, because Ramatra really has been that main tank for when people want to operate in those brawl styles here. So definitely taking that off the board early, trying to see if Pibble Platoon can expand beyond that brawl play style.
Yeah, I mean, Control Center is the haven for brawl teams on Lijiang Tower at the very least, but you can really get away with a lot of different compositions for the rest of these submaps here. As for your teams, the starting lineup for Plate Group, we have Gangam and Balerion as your DPS line. That is a DPS role star there in Balerion. It is How to Draw as your tank role star, and Big Shrimpin and Best Jinx for your support line, support role star in Big Shrimpin. So, quite a pedigree to this team. No pressure for the other side of things.
Yeah, exactly. Lots of names. You saw them just get a lot of awards, but ultimately you got to see what can come out on the other side here. You have Sishu and Mitsuri on that DPS line. You have Suguru on tank, and then Dr. Richtofen and Geo, another little role star there, the Rookie of the Year rather, on the support line. So, there is, so definitely a team that can try to stand up to Plate Group here in Pibble Platoon.
Yeah, if anyone's going to take it to them, it's got to be Pibble Platoon. These two teams last met in the final week of the regular season here. They've only gone up against each other twice throughout Season 17. Haven't faced off at all here in the playoffs phase. So, I believe, of course, this is a pretty narrow bracket, as we highlighted for this EU Masters Division. Not a ton of teams fighting it out here at the very end of the season. So, they've had a good chance to read up on each other's best strategies. They've seen how they play against their opponents. They've all played against each other's teams multiple times throughout this season, and now it's all come down to this. The meta game, as we've mentioned here, is kind of wide open right now. You can certainly still run the most dominant strategies that run with that Diva. Zarya's still in a good spot, even though her Vendetta counterpart isn't quite so prevalent in the current state of the patch as it is, but you can still easily make it work with, say, your Reapers, especially here on Lijiang Tower. Even your Venture, honestly, has a ton of synergy with Zarya still as good as she is.
Zarya firing on all cylinders still, and like you said, there are options, right? We have seen the meta try to diversify itself just a little bit, people trying to poke and prod, see what they can get away with across all skill tiers and divisions, but we will have to finally see and put pen to paper here rather, as we get into Lijiang. We are starting out on Night Market, a common map for shenanigans to come about. And I already see one shenanigan sitting in Plate Group's spawn, the ever-popular Cat Bastion, potentially about to rain down damage from above, and I don't see anything from Pibble Platoon that's really going to be wanting to stop this.
No, I think their best defense here is the walls that they can hide behind. Of course, a quick teleport to point out there from Shisui, chauffeuring everyone easily to the objective. Suguru on this Hazard. We've seen Hazard really on the come up recently as that sort of dive brawl hybrid flexibility brings to the table. That's an anti real quick onto Geo. Best Jinx. Ana could easily play spoiler to a lot of this mobile composition that Pibble Platoon is trying to run out with. But Dr. Richtofen and Geo on this Lucio Bap, no surprises whatsoever. But Dr. Richtofen falling early on here, as well as Geo, so that's certainly going to be shocking for the team in red. Pibble Platoon, they get first cap of the objective, but it's going to be short-lived at most.
Yeah, short-lived. They just have to dispose of the Hazard. Of course, easier said than done here on the cleanup, but actually it seems like the cleanup might not come through until Mitsuri is dispatched here, so a little bit more costly for Plate Group than they probably were anticipating, and now it's still being held on technically.
Yeah, they're still in control of the point, at least for a few seconds more. Richtofen back in this fight here, able to hold the door, taking down the Mets Jinx. What I thought was a done deal turns out that Pibble Platoon are back in control. With as mobile as these heroes are, they're able to get back into the point quick, smart, no concerns whatsoever. But of course, folks, wouldn't be a grand finals without a quick pause in the first map just to make sure we've gotten all the kinks ironed out. But that is a pretty early take and a strong lead here for Pibble Platoon.
Yeah, incredibly strong lead indeed here. Now, you know, it's just the question of how Play Group are going to try to come back into this one, right? They still seem to be sticking to their guns on this composition, and you know, the one thing is they just seem very disconnected, right? I feel like especially across that first fight, you saw the Ana become a very easy target for the Pibble Platoon to sort of focus down because there's no real peel, right? You have a Wrecking Ball, you have a Cat Bastion flying around, and there's just all these people on different angles doing different things that ultimately leaves your other support out to dry. But we'll have to see if maybe they can play a little more coordinated as Pibble Platoon continues to grow their lead.
Yeah, I fully agree here. The Cat Bastion can work as a surprise factor. Pibble Platoon are clearly not taken here by any level of surprise, not too concerned by it, or rather, that surprise factor has worn off at this point. Chisui back here on the Soldier 76, looking to shoot down either the Cat or that Bastion from that skybox. Delirium has access to this artillery strike, which on an enclosed space like this, oh, Richtofen, that's a little bit too far to escape back onto the point. A really solid swing through from How to Draw. This might finally be the chance the Play Group have needed to get control of this objective, but at 66% and counting for Pibble Platoon, they're more than happy even if they lose the point here and now. That is free percentage for them, 72 at the end of the day.
Tons of percentage accrued there, and the only thing they end up expending for it is that Death Blossom. So being able to have these tools heading into the next fight is massive. Of course, Play Group not short of anything themselves here, especially looking at this minefield to help create space.
Full spawn dropped in, Shisui falls low, but is able to dodge out of that blast radius there. Ooh, Jagged Wall nearly catches out Genga, but just able to sneak past that utility ability there. Mitsuri trying to hound down How to Draw's Wrecking Ball, has access to this minefield, and you cannot count out the dies from this Cat. So much damage potential here, and a boop to clean up Suguru means Pibble Platoon are without their tank and without their Reaper. No more frontline presence at least until this next fight, so there's still some presence on the objective. They do not want to let this one go just yet, or rather, would like to draw Play Group back to the point while they can regroup together as 5.
Hoping to get the regroup going, like you said here, but much easier said than done, as now Play Group is actually potentially having to give up some progress on the point as Pibble Platoon makes their way over to hold the space.
Finally, the minefield utilized here from How to Draw and immediately evaporates Dr. Richtofen there. Pibble Platoon need to escape. Suguru committed that downpour but finds nothing for his trouble. The rest of the team falling one by one as a team kill rings out in Play Group. This is the design they had coming into this map. Now they have a chance, if they can hold here, to take this first round and put themselves ahead in the series.
That's the hope here, but still, easier said than done. The rest of Pibble Platoon has tons of ultimates, but the artillery from the sky trying to hunt down these supports. Unfortunately, with nothing to hold them in place, it makes it a little bit more difficult than you'd like.
Yeah, very slippery composition that Pibble Platoon are running. Makes it tough to lock down. Again, of course, that Bastion ultimate, not the most important part of that hero's kit, especially in synergy with that Jetpack Cat. Attack vibes are rolling on the objective as the Sound Bear from Dr. Richtofen allowing everyone to safely approach the objective for Pibble Platoon. You're finding kills left and right. Valerian and Big Shrimp in both halves that Cat Bastion gone well and truly here in this fight. So it's going to be Pibble Platoon back in control of the point. Spending 2 ults here, not at all too big a price to pay, especially considering Play Group have about the same coming in this next fight.
Yeah, having about that same, like you said here, and it is going to be that final fight territory, so both these teams going to be willing to commit everything here. I feel as though Play Group does have the better ultimates for the objective, but if there could be a way to weather the minefield, that being said, you're already missing that main heal.
Yeah, I mean, you're just witnessing a Bastion free-firing over the objective between a minefield and a Bastion. The new rock on a hard place as Pibble Platoon get pulled apart here one by one. Mitsuri and Dr. Richtofen, the last remaining members, as Shisui falls. That's going to be Play Group taking this first round of the series. 99 to 100, though. That is very closely fought.
Very close back and forth. but ultimately going to go Plate Group's way here. And again, you know, I sort of was worried that their chaotic style of being all over the place was going to make them easy targets, but it seems as though they were able to create enough chaos that Pibble Platoon wasn't able to continually focus down onto these free targets that you could potentially run at here. So now heading into Control Center, however, we're already seeing swaps potentially in the spawn room for both squads here, trying to change things up. And again, this comes down to, you know, having to be versatile, dependent on the maps here. As we know, this is a much brawlier sub point, so bringing out the Orisa and the Mei as well here for Plate Group to really try to help slow this hazard down, I think is an amazing adaptation.
I feel like I need to see Geo come alive a little bit more here on this Baptiste. This is the backline Pibble Platoon love to run, have enjoyed running all season long here. And of course, exactly why they got the Kiriko out of the way for this first map, and a Maywell out from Gangon trying to cut off that retreat. Pibble Platoon able to escape for now, but at least this has gained Plate Group so much positional advantage. You're now having to come through the hallway. Obviously, narrow choke point where the rest of Plate Group can free fire in. That's exactly the spam damage this roster is looking to do. It's already the point unlocked here. Plate Group in pole position, but Pibble Platoon still getting a good amount of damage in, not nearly enough to sustain. Is how to draw, sniping out that hazard. The Orisa is such a strong answer to this hazard. So little Suguru can do, but the rest of the team alive and kicking, finding kills. It's not going to be a bloodless fight here, even if Plate Group are able to stay alive on the objective. How to draw, really leading the charge here as that tank roll star. It looks as though until they dislodge this Orisa, it's going to be Plate Group's point.
Plate Group taking control here, and again, a bit of a back and forth affair, but ultimately, again, Orisa is such a tanky character. Between all of the cooldowns, you have no way to really break through what Orisa wants to do in those situations here, unless you're just pouring raw damage into her, and the only thing is going to be either, you know, it's going to be damage coming from this Reaper. So unfortunately, when that's not there in these moments, you have these moments.
That is a clean boop onto Shisui, but not before Shisui gets a kill onto Best Jinx. So Pibble Platoon still in control of their own fates here. 4 bodies left on the objective, and now with How to Draw falling, the rest of the team, like a house of cards themselves, that's going to be Pibble Platoon back in control. Not a moment too soon.
Not a moment too soon indeed here. Pibble Platoon holding forward, has some good ultimates to work with in this doorway as well here. Oh, just waiting for the Blossom.
Takes down the Immortality Field, but that is it. Valerian able to answer back so quickly onto Mitsuri. No element of surprise for that Reaper whatsoever. And the Blizzard locking up Suguru. No one can even heal him behind that Mei wall. Plate Group spending just that Blizzard, having the rest of their ultimates in reserve. Quickly retake, only 26% for Pibble Platoon. Not a whole lot of time there for them.
Not a ton of time on the objective here, but you know, coming back into this, unfortunately calling the Terror Surge already though at the door.
Yeah, forcing out the Immortality Field immediately, and it's another artillery strike from Valerian, this time zoning out and taking down that highly useful ability. The downpour, this time from Suguru, does come through, but as you're diving in to get all that damage, you're still facing down the rotating cannon of the Bastion and that primary and secondary fire from the Mei, and of course the Orisa, eager to pin you to a wall.
For the pin to the wall indeed, but now you are trying to look at holding forward here. Pibble Platoon, another swap, having the Reinhardt in play now, trying to see if that can help breach forward here, but there's tons of things that can slow this approach, like that Ant Matrix.
Yeah, and you're just taking so much damage directly on your face. Mitsuri's Bastion gets immediately taken down. Valerian sending so much consistent damage through this window. You can see Best Jinx keeping the team alive and kicking. Will there even be a chance at a touch? Yes, there are folks in range for Pibble Platoon, but it's going to be really tough on the point. Gio's already fallen down. Valerian, that gate guard on this Bastion. As long as it's still in the fight, you really cannot count out that damage throughput. That is going to be another ult on the objective. This time, the celebration comes through. The rest of Plate Group letting loose with that Blizzard. Everything, and the kitchen sink thrown at Pibble Platoon. This time, there is no 99 to 100. That is a pretty clean shutdown of the red side of things. Plate Group firmly in control of this point, proving why exactly they are in the lead coming into this series.
Proving it with beyond a shadow of a doubt here, doing exactly what you want, or what you expect Plate Group to do here. Pibble Platoon, I like what they were doing, in the first initial fight on this first round, right? to take advantage of the chaos, finding the target that's isolated and running them down. But then you felt that focus fire go away as the match grew more chaotic, and being able to sort of maintain your focus through the chaos I think is going to be the factor for Pibble Platoon here, because I think Plate Group, well and by and large, feels like they are the big dogs in this matchup, so they want to come in, they want to create that chaos because it's just going to fare that much better for them.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious why they're in control heading into this series. We saw some moments, some stumbling blocks for them on Night Market, but once they got themselves under control, once they had that full read in the composition, honestly, with as strong a leading from the front as How to Draw usually does on that Wrecking Ball, it was the Orisa that really shut things down on control center. It's not quite as easy to roll through on the ball on that submap as it is on the other two, so I think it's a really good swap, and also as such a clean answer to Suguru's Hazard. As good as an angle as you were hoping to find on Night Market, Suguru wasn't able to get anything done whatsoever on a control center. You saw a late game swap over to that Reinhardt, but it was too late by that point here. Pibble Platoon, we need to see them think a little bit more on their feet in terms of swapping up compositions, because their answers, while good, are just coming in a little late.
Yeah, and again, I feel like it's a tale as old as time here with adaptations. When you need to be flexible, you can't hesitate, right? Hesitating for even a moment can sort of leave you dead in the water in quite a few situations here. And so it sort of, creates these moments where you have to be able to figure things out here. That being said, again, you have options if you're Pibble Platoon, right? This is just a drop in the bucket. It's grand final, so it's not as dire straits as it needs to be yet. And already with a solid pick over to Havana, I feel like this is going to be able to force a much different playstyle among the entire match here that hopefully can, maybe pick them up into the place they want to be.
I feel like the idea here is to try and mitigate that Wrecking Ball composition if at all possible. Now, I do know that Plate Group, they're a team that can run this comp on kind of any map type they please, so unless it's banned out, I still have to count that as a possibility coming into any of these map types. But I think if you're going to have a chance at surviving up against this high-tempo composition, obviously Escort your best bet, and Havana one of the best options even within that narrow category. Tons of long sight lines to work with here on points A and C in particular. Point B can even devolve heavily into the brawl, which we've seen Pibble Platoon want to take here whenever they have a chance to do so.
Exactly, and we'll have to see what they think with these bans as well here. It's one of those things where you can regard what just occurred on that last match in terms of your bans, but also because you're going to a completely different map that's going to force a completely different style, you could try to, venture a ban in a different direction, see if you, hit the bullseye on that one, tons of different options. But no, Pibble Platoon decided they do not want a repeat of the Cat Bastion above their heads anymore, so they just take out the Bastion.
I mean, that's fair. Plate Group clearly finding a lot of joy in running that composition on Night Market. So yeah, and it's something you certainly can do on Havana. I wouldn't say it's the strategy right now, even for the maps that you do tend to see that composition, that minor sub-comp of the Cat Bastion. It's not usually escort maps, but Plate Group have seen no reason to not run it here. So I think it's good to get that out of their hands, at least for this map. You'd like to stabilize, right? You highlighted here, Megalas. It's a first to 4, so it's not as though you were already in such dangerous territory being down a single map, but still, you'd like to even things out before it gets too out of hand. And a ban onto Zenyatta. This is a pick that we have seen on rare occasion from Pibble Platoon. I think on a map like Havana, it's really a chance for Zenyatta, who's fallen a little bit out of favor in most of the metagame, can really have a chance to shine. So with this ban, it means we're not going to see him further in this map itself, but still tons of long-range poke. I'm thinking a BAP Yari backline here, very much in the cards for Pibble Platoon.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of teams piloting the Yari to levels of success here, especially alongside the Baptiste in those double flex situations. We do have a substitution on the side of Pibble Platoon. Ghost Town going to be swapping in on that tank role here. So again, this could just be adding more depth to the lineup in the way that it, they potentially need here. Because again, switching up the entire way that they play is sort of the name of the game here. but we'll have to see if it actually ends up coming to fruition or if Play Group can continue to pivot with just these members that they have.
Yeah, usually they keep Sigurd in to run the Brawl compositions. Ghost Town, I've seen mostly here on the Diva, and of course a little bit on the Sigma. So if that is also well within the cards, of course, Sigma does see a ton of play on Havana on these longer ranged escort maps. Tons of sightlines, tons of chance to really control that space, especially alongside a sniper. We've seen Shisui favor that Ash whenever he gets a chance to do so himself. So this could be a chance for Pibble Platoon to set up, especially considering these bans didn't really impact their de facto compositions on this map type all that much.
Yeah, and you know, the de facto comps, like you said, it can be a variety of different things here, so we will just have to see what the plan is here, as we are just waiting patiently for the map to load in. It'll magically come in just a moment here. I hear the music playing in the background. And Don Rumbatico, that sounds like a lovely drink right now. I would love to have some of that, but it's just another day in paradise.
Yeah, we are here on Havana, of course, looking briefly here at that interior of Point B. That is where things start to devolve into these Brawl compositions. All those sightlines you get to see on Point A matter for very little in the close range slugfest that Point B tends to become. But of course, this is Escort, which means you're not always guaranteed to see Point C or even B, given the right circumstances. You can see the defense of Pibble Platoon already looking to run this Ramatra-based composition. Yeah, we've seen Ghost Town on the Ramatra as well. Perhaps not one of the two I know him best for, but still no slouch on this hero, and of course the rest of the squad around that. So I honestly really like the Ramatra alongside the May Reaper. I think it's an excellent adaptation of that old-timey Reinhardt composition you tend to see, and no surprise that Lucio Kiriko backline. I mean, kind of surprised, because they usually don't tend to run this. They prefer to run their own Baptiste, but instead, no, they're running the meta comp, going for a close hold. I really like this. It guarantees you at least 2 solid fights here on Point A. Plate Group, they've got the teleporter going in and out of spawn right now as Gangam rethinking, trying to decide how you want to attack this. Plate Group still looking for some inroads. I think the Echo is going to be the call here. Finding a kill already on Dr. Richthofen. That could easily spell disaster for the rest of this hole, but Ghost Town and Mitsuri are there to power forward, taking down 2 for 2 on either side of this fight. As long as Ghost Town is here holding strong and you've got at least one support to back you up, Pibble Platoon might have a chance at holding this.
Yeah, emphasis on Light, though, you are already missing members, so you have to be incredibly careful and get some early picks, and then seeing as you weren't able to just follow up onto the Echo, it's now going to be really, really difficult.
Yeah, you still need to worry about your positional advantage here. Plate Group have all the respawns in the world, and Gang finding a 3K here. Echo coming alive, Balerion on the Sojourn as well. Honestly, you could even stick on this composition here from Plate Group. It's a heavy dive focus, but Big Shrimpin on this Wuyong alongside Best Jinx Ana. I really favor this to deal with both the up close and the long range fighting.
Exactly, but we'll have to see what swaps end up coming through here. You see, you know, trying to have, you know, almost a full-scale swap for the defense here means you're going to burn a lot of those ultimates you just were building up towards. The Plate Group now has a heavy advantage in that, along with their dive as well, really going to make it oppressive for Pibble Platoon to establish any meaningful defense here.
Shisui needs to find a pick and needs to find it now. Finds Big Shrimp, and that's exactly the energy that the defense need. Pibble Platoon have a chance now. A moment to breathe as the rest of Plate Group back off for a hot second here. Overclock rolling from Balerion, but no kills so far with that ultimate. That's a ton of damage being eaten up, but also a ton of damage just straight up being eaten here by Ghost Town. Yes, you find a pick off late game, but you're out of mech. You need to find some answers, need to find a chance to get back into it, because how to draw is going wild over your backline.
I mean, wild over the backline, but at the same time, you know, you have interesting trades back and forth here, but finally it seems like this is going to be in Plate Group's favor with the removal of the Baby Diva and some other members here. Pibble Platoon is probably going to have a chance to get back in and touch one more time. They're going to have Kitsune rush to boot here as well, where Plate Group is only really going to be looking towards that Tidal Blast as their tool to get them over this first sector.
You can hear Shisui free firing from above, but it's the rush late through from Geo, hoping to sustain the rest of Pibble Platoon as the sights come out from Shisui as well. Plate Group down 2 members. It is all over, but the crying for this engagement, at least and we have burned nearly 3 minutes off the clock here. Just how to draw left alive, stalling things out in the back line, well behind enemy lines, but the rest of play group, they're not going to have a ton of defense, be very exposed on this next approach.
Very exposed indeed here. So now Pibble Platoon actually having the time to be able to establish a meaningful defense, and you're seeing everybody try to, you know, work their magic to be able to get into position here. You see as well, Shishu just trying to hold, but now a sim wall makes it so you can't see anything.
Now that is a photon barrier coming through. Gangam able to support the rest of the squad there. You can see them teleporting to that high ground. No longer can Shisui free fire onto the approaching side. But Richthofen finding a kill early on here. It's the overclock rolling from Mitsuri now under a ton of pressure. You have to consider this wrecking ball on you at all times. Trying to find the damage, but of course now with everyone looking at the wrecking ball, the rest of the team, play group falling one by one here. They're down to just the last 10 seconds. It's going to have a chance to touch, but that's not going to be a full team altogether.
No, it is not. It's going to be the wrecking ball having to burn pretty much every cooldown, including the minefield, onto the objective, and just having to sit and stay for as long as humanly possible. Meanwhile, you know, Pibble Platoon continuing to hold with an amazing defense right now.
Tidal Blast committed, I think, onto how to draw, but that is one evaporated hamster there as the wrecking ball falls. The rest of the team in quick succession. The close hold paid off. Pibble Platoon knew exactly what they were doing and bringing us here to Havana. They have full held play group. Not a single point so far in the red team's hands, but now it is down to play group's defense to hold things here. But 4 minutes is a very long time, and when you know your win condition here, like Pibble Platoon do, all you have is the time that's given to you. If you can just find a way open here, find a couple kills, a close hold's kind of necessary from play group's defense.
Yeah, play group is going to have to, by and large, step up in a very impressive way here to be able to pull off this defense. Because honestly, again, you know, you look at how Pibble Platoon started that. It was a moderately decent spawn hold, burns about 30-45 seconds off the clock. But then just being able to sort of almost negate the wrecking ball, even though, you know, how to draw was simply trying to take attention, not necessarily netting the kills while the DPS line of Pibble Platoon was going to work there. So certainly going to be a much different story here now, with play group deciding they're going to try to play much more synchronized, much more together, forced together, if you will, with a Ramatra spawn hold comp of their own. Meanwhile, Pibble Platoon, since they just ran it, they know what they're up against. They have Shisui on the Vara, about to jump to the skies, be able to do damage, and just try to eviscerate the spawn hold as quickly as possible.
Valerian with this Symmetra could easily be the ticket for getting play group out of dodge should things get a little too spicy early on here. Ravenous Vortex forcing Shisui back down to the ground. This Pharah having to find a different angle of approach now, able to take to the skies. The damage through is considerable. Big Shrimpin. Suzu committed there from Best Jinx just to keep that support line alive and well. And it looks to be paying off here as play group also under a ton of pressure, finding the play pickoffs. An early kill onto Ghost Town. Yes, you lose Delirium there, but down your tank. That's another 10 seconds well and truly gained for you, and we're looking to have at least as long a hold as Pibble Platoon's defense was on the other side of things. Play group still in control of their own destinies for a little bit longer here. How to draw still anchoring on the objective, but you are losing one by one. Gangam and Best Jinx here down, just 3 alive here on the objective, and play group are down their tank. That's going to be honestly a near mirror image of the defense on the opposite side of things. Pibble Platoon now fully unleashing their offense. This time though, they've got a Pharah and a Sojourn.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how long they intend to stick this far, whether it's just for the barrage or if they try to go beyond it. Of course, play group immediately realizes they have to get at least off the Symmetra, but Gangam's going to hold on, knowing that Blizzard is going to be in tow here, can be monumental in getting a stop on the payload. But again, the defense now has to find a way to establish themselves here when they have to be almost the aggressors despite being on defense. But that does help.
Yeah, certainly taking down Ghost Town early on here should shut things down for the offensive side of things. A barrage committed, does find out how to draw, so I mean, with the spawns, you're kind of splitting even. So both of these tanks can be back here at relatively equal measurement of time. Gangam find these pickoffs late game, and crucially holding on to that Blizzard like you mentioned there, Megalas.
Yeah, the Blizzard's going to be amazing at holding space for the defense here. That Pharah was short-lived, just waiting for the barrage. Now going to be over to the Widowmaker here. If you can find a cheeky angle and get a single pick, this could spell disaster for this defense here. Play group, they have to maintain vigilance if they want to maintain their hold.
Blizzard committed, Soundbearer as well. Playgroup determined to hold this one here and now. We're under the 2-minute mark, so you need to find some success for this defensive hold. Finding a pick-off once again onto Ghost Town. Pibble Platoon not really having any answers here, and Geo committed the Kitsune rush there into an already failing fight. You're gonna have the Annihilation, but apart from an upcoming Soundbearer, that's kind of it for the offense.
That is it indeed here. So now trying to look for more here, but already with a pick on the mid-30, it means this fight could be over. But Ghost Town trying to commit the Annihilation, ultimately not coming away with much.
No, Playgroup are finding these picks so early on in these fights, but the second Pibble Platoon want to utilize their ultimates, it's kind of already too late. So you're still fighting this out on the objective as one Annihilation faces the other through the crossed arms of these Ramatras, but you're still waiting for everyone to get back into the fight here. If Ghost Town can stay alive, yes, you're finding value, but if you lose your tank here for Pibble Platoon, that could spell disaster, considering we are now under a minute. It's going to be the Ant Matrix committed here from Best Jinx. You've taken down Valerian early on in this fight, who had that overclock. Could easily be the answer in a longer engagement. Gangam still putting in so much damage. Shishui's Widowmaker not finding anything whatsoever here. Tough to find these angles on the offensive side of things, but the Soundbearer from Dr. Richtofen facilitating everyone from Pibble Platoon to roll forward. Now you're within inside of that gold box of victory. Now you're playing on the defense as the offending side of things. Playgroup need to find a touch. They need to find it right here, right now. It is a Blizzard late through, so you are forced off the point here for a few seconds longer. Gangam building up to these ultimates so very quickly here. Kill onto Geo, but Ghost Town coming through, pummeling left, right, and center with that Nemesis form. You are down, everybody, and it's just the Doomfist of how to draw left on the objective here. Not a whole lot of room to go with. That's going to be the offense coming through. The full hold paid off for Pibble Platoon, and they will take this map and even up our grand finals.
Evening it up here a little, it's probably a little bit longer than they would like, but still getting the job done in the end. Like you said, knowing exactly what they wanted to do on this matchup, it absolutely paid off for them. But we'll have to see exactly, how Playgroup chooses to respond. Now, I'm sure they were not expecting this much resistance here, but it's grand finals for a reason. Both teams have earned these spots, and Pibble Platoon playing beautifully across Havana there.
We'll have to see how the third map of this grand final series shakes out in just a few minutes, folks. We're going to go to a quick break, but do not go anywhere. Third map coming up right after this.
Lots of love. Lots of love. Love. lots of love. Love.
Welcome back, folks. We are here in the midst of a very even grand finals, of course, between Pibble Platoon and Plate Group. Both these teams with a map under their belt so far. Grand finals, of course, means this is a first to 4, so there's always a chance this goes all the way to 7 maps, and it's been very back and forth here. Both these teams giving about as good as they're getting. Pibble Platoon sending us here to Havana, able to win out in the end, and now it's Plate Group's chance to decide where we are going for map number 3.
Coming to make those decisions, of course, because it seems like map dependency could be the name of the game for this series, but it is going to be Saravasa as the next map up here. And Plate Group, probably, interestingly enough, Saravasa, it is one of those maps where you can kind of get away with this more chaotic style that we saw back on Lijiang from Plate Group, where you can just do a little bit more, be in a lot of places, and things of that nature.
I think it's a good map pick for them, right? I fully agree. This is the playstyle Flashpoint in particular suits Plate Group the most of all the types in the pool right now, and Saravasa really facilitates the wide open potentiality that this Wrecking Ball composition has. So if they do not ban out a tank here, I'm expecting Pibble Platoon to answer back by banning out the Wrecking Ball. So we'll see if Plate Group are able to provide an answer to that, or if they're not too concerned and they want to simply run something else, because it's either going to be a ball ban from the opposing side or getting that jetpack cat out of the way, because I'm sure that if you wanted to, you could easily run something like a pack cat coming out of this, but no, a cat bastion rather. It's a Lucio ban here first. All right, that shakes things up and honestly is a pretty heavy-hitting, aggressive ban from Plate Group.
Yeah, banning out the Lucio, like you said, it's going to allow the jetpack cat to stay in play here, as well as just if you want that speed option, you're going to have to rely on Juno here, which is a much easier to focus down target, as well as a much different ultimate, right? Instead of the defense of the sound barrier, you have like a more offensive utility within the orbital ray here, so you don't necessarily have to worry about ultimates being negated and things like that as you go throughout the match here. So taking away the Lucio certainly makes tons of sense, but Pibble Platoon have decided they don't want the chaos, they don't want the Wrecking Ball.
No, this is the correct choice here from Pibble Platoon. Once you see the Lucio band out, you are free to take care of the hamster. If you're going to deal with some chaos here in the Cat Bastion, or whatever version of it Plate Group are cooking, you at least don't have to worry about that Wrecking Ball constantly rolling through. And honestly, on Lijiang Tower, despite the closeness of Night Market, I don't think it was down to any answers to that Wrecking Ball. Pibble Platoon not able to find any real responses, anything apart from a Reaper to really take how to draw his ball to task, but it is going to be same compositions that we saw coming into this second one. So expect to see a lot of flexibility here. I'm expecting Gangnam to be running that Tracer once again, as we saw on Lijiang Tower. And of course, no Lucio for the backlines, so you're going to have to shake things up. As you mentioned here, Megalas, you could easily run a Juno alongside something like the Brig, or even alongside a Kiriko. It's still tons of flexibility between those two support heroes. And for the tank line, I'm curious to see what we're going to have here. We've seen both these teams are more than capable of running the Ramatra with the tanks they currently have in, so could easily just stick with the classic brawl.
Yeah. And I mean, there are tons of different options, tons of different ways that we could see this going, but a lovely pause. We love pauses. We love pauses so much. I love pausing in Overwatch. It's so much fun. I'm totally not about to lose my mind. It's okay. Everything's good.
We're doing so normal here, just getting things sorted out here. It looks as though one of our players might be deafened, so we're just going to get that sorted real quick. With any luck, fingers crossed, there's a chance it'll be a very quick solve. But hovering things in the spawn room, none of these are guaranteed hero picks coming in. Ghost Town on the D.Va, no surprise. I think that is perhaps the best known tank that he's got in his pool here. Shisui hovering in the Symmetra, just at least teleport to point. I wouldn't expect to see him stick with that. I think it's going to be either the probably the, I think Ash would be a weird call here. Might just go over to the Tracer alongside Mitsuri's Sojourn. And the Brig Kiriko is a possibility here from Pibble Platoon. I like it as a backline. You still can be pretty vulnerable here to the dives of a D.Va.
Yeah, I mean, D.Va is oppressive in the meta right now for a reason, right? You have the defense matrix, you have the micro missiles, the damage, feels like she can be anywhere and everywhere all at once here, so there are tons of different things you have to watch out for. But with both teams rocking out on it as pretty much the main difference here you're going to see in that backline, the Brig Curie versus the Booyang Curie, you're going to have to see Dr. Richthofen be a little bit more active in the action to make sure the team is getting the heals that they so desperately need in these fights.
Each of these tanks, each of these D.Vas looking for pole position on the objective here. The point unlocks in just a second, so who is going to be first? Boots on the ground. Both these Tracers looking to find an answer to each other's backlines. You see some point presence from Pibble Platoon just to kick things off here. It is going to be Shisui currently holding things down. Valerian under a ton of pressure, has to back away. Gets healed up, that wave coming through from the Wuyong, able to sustain you for a few moments longer here. But on the other side of things, Mitsuri and Shisui both combined to take down Gangam, down your Tracer. There's a lot less pressure on the opposing side backline. And of course, the Brig Kiriko, perhaps the most lethal backline to a Tracer. So Gangam gonna have a really tough time actually making some inroads.
Really tough time in here, but with Pibble Platoon getting to hold on to the objective for the time being, Playgroup again, like you're seeing, they have to full commit on an engage like this, and if they can't come away with the kills, then it just means resetting to have to do it all over again.
She's out here on the outside of the point, trying to mark out some of the members of Playgroup as they're just trying to find their way back onto the objective here. Market's still hotly contested. As you can see, Ghost Town doing everything he can to hold the door against Gangam's approaching Tracer. Ultimates are starting to come online for the defensive side of things here. You got the pulse bomb ready from Shisui, and a kill onto Valerian. You might not even need that ultimate here coming into this fight. You've now de-mech'd, and that's going to be a re-mech here invested. Finding a kill onto Ghost Town, who was likewise out of mech. That is value and then some for how to draw. Yes, 99% on the board for Pibble Platoon. All they need is one more fight, and they didn't spend anything here, but Playgroup firmly in control of the position of the map right now.
Control in B here, and now just trying to push out, see what other kills they can get. Ultimately going to have to settle for what they have so far here, but now it's going to be seeing how Pibble Platoon wants to attack this. They have quite a few ultimates to work with in this engagement here, and depending on which side they approach from, it could just be a free push directly onto the objective.
Expect both these rushes in this fight. It's going to be the Tidal Blast committed first from Big Shrimp and directly onto that Tracer. Drops down, drops the pulse bump even. Lets Valerian to find the kill. Shisui answers back in a big way here. Both these pulse bumps committed. Overclock from Mitsuri, but I think he fell in the second that ultimate was popped. So the rest of the team, however, able to find the kills coming up huge. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Mitsuri, we're not going to bother about that too much. Geo going nuts on the Kiriko, finding several kills here. Make that a 3K for your flex support on Pibble Platoon. That is going to be Market going their way, and they're going to be up now on Surabasa.
Yeah, up in a pretty solid way here, Pibble Platoon. Now, you know, heading on over to, it looks like Ruin, or not Ruin, Temple rather, trying to, again, continue their advantage here, be the first team here, as well as they have a decent ult advantage with both the Demon Pump, as well as that break rally to provide sustain to the entire squad, as Shisui is under attack right now.
And Shisui just dodges over the abyss, waiting on the other side of the temple objective itself right now. Suzu committed just to keep Ghost Town in this fight, but of course, having that remech capability, the override protocol high here up in the sky from Valerian. No kills coming through just yet. You've already lost Gangam as Shisui is able to find the better in that trade of the Tracers. Rally rolling on the objective as Dr. Richthofen holding the gate against anyone from Playgroup, but still the kills are now starting to materialize. as Pibble Platoon are holding one by one, taking apart Best Jinx and Big Shrimp, and no more heals online for Plate Group. One by one, the rest of the team will fall, in Balerian's case, quite literally, as Temple's first cap goes the way of Pibble Platoon.
Yeah, very back and forth affair, but again, that rally just provided the sustain for everybody to live their Play Group. Now realizing they may have to change up their approach here. They swapped it. They're onto the Sojourn now, as well as the Ramatra instead. But that, no longer wanting to try to play that Diva mirror here. It is still going to be incredibly difficult seeing as, again, Ghostown feels like can be anywhere and everywhere needed to be in Play Group. It feels like they're sort of stuck between two comps where they want to be clustered together, but also still be individualistic.
Of course, you're also resetting your ultimate charge here for those two in particular, so you've got to find a chance, got to win these neutral fights, or hope for a massive pulse bomb from Gangum, who's about to have that online. And of course, the rush laid through from both of these Kiriko's potential here at any moment. Geo just slightly edging out in terms of ult charge against Best Jinx. You find a kill early on here, but that's a clean railgun shot directly through Balerian's dome. Kill after kill for Pibble Platoon, and this Kitsune Rush, honestly, a little bit more celebratory than anything else. You didn't necessarily fully need it with a capital N, but you've gotten yourself 2 points already and still save some ults for this next fight here. Play Group, desperate to find some answers.
Desperate to find answers indeed, now making even more wholesale swaps, bringing the Mei and the Brig back into play here. At least now, you're pretty much on a very similar identity heading into Garden, where you're going to be sort of playing a brawl, you're playing together, no more sort of individual play. But, Pibble Platoon is going to sort of be surrounding you, like you already see C-Suite taking space on this Tracer, and now just waiting for Ghostown to give the go button for that full commit to be engaged.
The rush coming out from Best Jinx, answered by an overclock rolling from Mitsuri. The Diva Bomb high in the sky from Ghost Town, forcing everybody back, and crucially, Play Group couldn't benefit very much from this Kitsune Rush here on the objective. You find an early pick here onto Shisui, so at the very least, Play Group have a ton of room to work with now. They're not being harassed by the annoying Nat that is the Tracer. Annihilation rolling from How to Draw, and that is one Diva well and truly out of position, out of the map here to follow up on. That's going to be first cap going the way of Play Group.
First cap heading their way in a very good manner here for Play Group, and all they have to expend is the Annihilation because they didn't even have anything else yet to expend in that fight. Pibble Platoon, in the meantime, has now made the swap off the Diva over to the Ramatra. And again, I feel like this might be a little bit of an early swap. I mean, you lost a single point, and then you're already making this swap where, I feel like you were benefiting from this collapsing style.
Yeah, I think down the Diva does certainly open you up to a lot of free fire coming through from, I'm thinking Balerian in particular with this overclock running on the objective. The Blizzard as well. There's nothing Ramatra can do against that but put down a shield and hold up those arms. No D-Matrix whatsoever to answer back against the incredible damage output. And of course, Gangum and everyone else following up here on those frozen up kills. Honestly, with the speed at which these points tick up, I don't think there's even a chance for Pibble Platoon to touch in a serious way.
Yeah, very much a drastic flip from what we've been seeing here on Saravasa so far here. It feels as though Pibble Platoon, potentially, again, may have just jumped the gun a little bit. They saw one sub point didn't go their way because of an ultimate disadvantage, and they decided they needed to make wholesale swaps that could come back to bite them in the end here. But as we head on over to Palace, you have to be incredibly careful with the angles that you are taking, trying to approach those high ground when C-Suite is just here with the Fara.
I like that. Concussive Blast goes in, doesn't knock anybody off the map here just yet, but does force them back. They may wall up here, keeping the rest of Play Group alive and kicking safe from those rockets for at least a second. But Balerian, the second that wall drops, finding a pickoff here onto Shisui. I really like this attempted go here from Pibble Platoon, but just being answered so quickly here from Play Group. And of course, you've got Annihilation and Rally on the point rolling here. It's all over, but the crying ends here. It's going to be Palace first going the way of Play Group, and that is a very commanding start for this team. I don't think you needed both those ultimates, but it certainly does put you in a strong defensive position.
Yeah, I was going to talk about how you invested both the Rally and Annihilation into that fight. Upside for Pibble Platoon, though, is you now have your own Annihilation, as well as an overclock to boot on top of it, and no real sustain that you need to cut through or anything of the sort, so that should certainly help out here. That being said, you are, just sort of waiting for how Pibble Platoon to approach this and pushing in a very narrow corridor, trying to take the high ground.
Yeah, that Maywall is devastating here in these close encounters. Gangnam with another Blizzard here. Feels like he's got it nearly every fight at this point. But the Annihilation from an unfrozen Ramatra, that is the most terrifying thing in these small corridors. That is Ghost Town earning a team kill for the rest of the squad. The overclock committed by Mitsuri as well. A heavy investment, but a necessary one if you want to stay alive on the point.
Honestly, that went from good to great because Pibble Platoon, you feel bad for having to invest 2 ultimates, but at the same time, you do get the Blizzard out on the other side of that as well here. But with, now heading into the next fight, you do have that overclock as well as a few other tools on the side of Play Group, going into that one. But, you're still on sort of this reverse mini sweep within the map for a Play Group. You're having to sort of come back. You can't give up this point. Pibble Platoon already has 2 to their name, so it's just a lot to have to try to figure out and sort in the moment.
Yeah, I think Play Group, they are desperate to not go down in this series, at least this early on here. 2-1. Yes, doesn't seem like a massive shift here, considering, of course, this is a first to 4, but still, the mental boomage that can certainly have on a team that should be dominating. Of course, all these awards for Play Group does put a target on their backs from Pibble Platoon. You could easily end up feeling like you've got a lot to prove here, both for the team who is so lauded and for the team who is looking to dethrone them here, folks. Just a quick player disconnection. We're going to get that sorted as quickly as we can, so we thank you for your patience. Oh, it looks as though we might be heading directly back into the map. Here we go. That's going to be it. All right, so it is still Pibble Platoon playing from the defensive posture here on Palace. The Play Group, they've got a couple ults to work with here, both the overclock and that orbital ray. If you can keep Bestings alive for a few seconds longer here, could be all you need to flip this one back in your favor. Honestly, ultimates are secondary considering Balerion. Still, that DPS roll star taking down Chisui with a well-placed railgun shot. That Reaper, all these swaps from Chisui, and still not really finding anything comfortable where the rest of the team can really rally around together. Speaking of rallies, Dr. Toughen about to have one online here, but the point is split the mid-fight. That orbital ray, too much pressure here. Pibble Platoon forced backwards, but they need to find a chance to touch, otherwise we're going to be guaranteed to head towards Ruins as our 5th and final sub-map here. So much pressure, the wraparound from Play Group is just too good. The overclock from Balerion finding tons of damage, but Geo finding a kill early on here. That could easily swing things into Pibble Platoon's favor. We're trading left and right on the objective. There is still some point presence from Pibble Platoon as the Annihilation from How to Draw rolls. Those arms are doing the best they can, but eventually it is going to be the end of this Ramatra as Mitsuri deals the final blow. It looks as though this fight is finally going to be found in Pibble Platoon's favor. They're not out of this one just yet.
I mean, they're not, but now, Play Group actually finds themselves in a very dire straits, right? They have to try to close the distance to get to this objective. They might be able to build up to the Blizzard in time, but, if you're not actually able to catch members up in it, then Pibble Platoon is going to be able to live, and they're coming up on a slew of ultimates themselves to try to put the exclamation point on this map here and now.
Yeah, Play Group need to touch the objective. Someone's on the point here now. Gengar with that Blizzard. This could be the answer you need. You've locked up a couple bodies, but that's not nearly enough considering the Annihilation is still rolling through. The damage too consistent. The power too overwhelming as Ghost Town and the rest of Pibble Platoon will clean things up on Saravasa. They have gotten the edge in this series. They are up 2-1, and now Play Group on the back foot. They're going to be the ones who have a chance to send us to a map of their choice heading into that 4th map.
Yeah, and so now, Pibble Platoon finds themselves up feeling confident right now, and Play Group, just a little bit shakier than you would expect here, right? They're having to sort of default back to very basic brawl comps, but the issue is, Pibble Platoon on the other side of it's like, hey, listen, we'll happily mirror you there. It feels like, Pibble Platoon is slowly forcing Play Group to play their game, and when you're playing your opponent's game, it feels like you've already lost here. So Play Group certainly has to sort of go back to the drawing board and figure out, how they're being shut down and how to prevent it in maps moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, being down that Wrecking Ball seems to have dealt a massive blow to that flexibility we're so used to seeing here from Play Group. Now, of course, on Flashpoint in particular, and it's going to be quite some time. We have to see all the map types in order here before we get to see any repeats. So do not expect to have another Flashpoint here anytime soon for Play Group. Pibble Platoon, though, I think this is exactly the result they were looking for coming into Saravasa, banning out that Wrecking Ball pick, which seemed to be the anchor point for Play Group's composition. positions. Honestly, no running of that Cat Bastion at any point of this map as well. Playgroup determined to play Pibble Platoon's game, which, as you highlighted, Megalas, feels like a losing strategy into a team that is so comfortable in the brawl as Pibble Platoon tends to be.
Yeah, and you're hoping to sort of have, you know, that comfort or anything like that. You're just going to start looking for anything here, because again, you're not in dire straits just yet. This is a grand final. You got that first to 4. There's still a bit of a buffer, but you don't want to find yourself that far down that you're finding, you know, winning 3 maps in a row, because that's just misery for anybody else. If you're play group, you want to respond instantly. But you know, coming into this again, Saravasa, that was play group's pick here. So now, you know, another pick on the board here for them hopefully can change their fates once again. But it seems like New Queen Street will be the name of the game.
Honestly, not a push map we tend to see all that often. Usually it's Esperanza or Runasapi. This tells me that Playgroup are looking to shake things up here. They're probably going to be going back to this Wrecking Ball composition, or they can honestly go into a diva of their own, as we've seen multiple times. But yeah, it really feels that like any chance you have to unleash this ball alongside the dive from the front and back line is kind of the name of the game for Playgroup. And anytime that is stymied, whether it's through the bans or through the map choice, that's kind of where they start to stumble here in this metagame, in this composition that Pibble Platoon are so tried and tested on. But the bans first here, Playgroup, they've chosen the map and they get the first chance at banning. I mean, is it going to... what's the ban here? They've already banned Ramacho. They cannot make that same call again for the rest of the series. You're going to have to ban another one of those enablers if you can. I mean, maybe the Sojourn, since you don't run so much of that yourself. Oh, look, it turns out that is going to be the call here. Yeah, you can easily still run the Tracer Emery if you're Playgroup.
The Sojourn, you know, being taken out here. It is, you know, again, like it's a solid shot, but at the same time, there are other hit scan options to, you know, consider and things you have to worry about here. But taking off the table, at least for the time being, can feel certainly helpful here. Now, the shoe being on the other foot, Pibble Platoon looking, honestly, they could look a whole lot of different places, but they are sitting pretty right now where, you know, any band that they go with, it's only going to benefit them even further. They figure add the security, make sure that they're not getting a Cat Bastion situation, and take out the Jetpack Cat.
All right, so we've got our bans out here, the Sojourn and the Jetpack Cat. Honestly, I think the Cat's a little bit more impactful here, considering we have already seen Playgroup favoring that, at least on Lijiang Tower. It is still viable here, I think, of your push maps. New Queen Street's kind of the biggest chance to run that, you know, micro composition that the Cat Bastion brings to the table. And alongside a Wrecking Ball is perhaps too much chaos to concern yourself with on a wide open map like New Queen Street. So good call here from both these sides. Sojourn, look, I sometimes criticize teams for chasing the DPS bans, but I do agree that Mitsuri Sojourn was a bit of a stumbling block here for Playgroup on the previous maps in this series. Of course, we've seen Balerion equally comfortable on that Emery, so I'm expecting that. Although Gangam was finding more success on that Mei, I think, than the Tracer. Of course, you don't want to run into a Tracer from Shisui uncontested, but I still think if you want to have that flexibility, if you want to be running a brawl of your own, you kind of need to have that Mei from Gangam.
Yeah, having, you know, that Mei could be the answer, you know, like you're talking about, really being a difference maker in the match itself and the things that it can do. In terms of just holding space and things like that, as well as we've seen how impactful the Blizzard can be in fight-win situations. So, could be nice to see it from Gangam here, but as we get to start to look at lineups here in just a second, I mean, New Queen Street, it is one of the push maps that comes up, I feel like, the rarest. I feel like you definitely see more of Runasapi or even Esperanza before people will go to New Queen Street as an option. So, Playgroup sitting in the spawn want the Wrecking Ball back in play for themselves. Meanwhile, Pibble Platoon going to try to benefit off of more of that Diva Tracer synergy like we were seeing on Saravasa.
I like the Brig Kiriko. We've been seeing teams more and more favor this backline here instead of the Lucio. If you've got tons of players playing off on their own, essentially, as Pibble Platoon are favoring to do with this composition, you only need to run that Lucio so much yourself if you're not going to be grouped up in these team fights. Mitsuri already finding a pickup here onto Best Jinx. That is an incredible, valuable pick here at the very beginning of this fight, already guaranteeing a first fight win here, and the bot still has yet to unlock the rest of Pibble Platoon, powering forward, forcing Playgroup all the way back towards that spawn. Yeah, How to Draw looking to find some inroads here on the high ground, but still, there's not a lot of synergy from the rest of the squad at the moment.
Yeah, that's what felt like it has been missing from Playgroup. Of course, you know, when you lack the synergy, it means that it is going to be more chaotic, which seems to be where Playgroup want to be playing, and already with a kill to their name in this fight, they are going to just be trying to see if they can get more and with more staggers under their foot as well. It's just going to keep pushing in their favor towards that first butt scratch is the hope and dream there, but beyond that, Pibble Platoon now just needs a bit of a regroup to get everybody back in position for the next fight.
Playgroup very much in control of the bot at this point here. As long as you can run this Wrecking Ball, How to Draw will do so. And as we kind of highlighted on Lijiang Tower, Pibble Platoon not really able to find answers to the Wrecking Ball. That's clearly the point of Mitsuri here on this Reaper, but still, the ball doesn't stay still long enough, and you'd love to be able to chunk it down, but How to Draw is just so good at rolling cleanly through, about to have the minefield on line first here as it is. Gangon with this Pulse Bomb, and Shisui with one in answer, but Richtofen falling early here. That Pulse Bomb going first from Gangon turns out to be just the thing Playgroup needs to open things wide up here. Still in control of the bot. Pibble Platoon trying to maintain some presence, but one by one they are falling down here, picked to pieces by this dive of the Wrecking Ball here. Yes, you lose your Tracer, but the rest of Playgroup alive and kicking, and they're kicking very aggressively right now.
Yeah. Do it. You know, alive and well and kicking, I think is definitely the way to put it here. Playgroup, they're just continuing to get to push the bot forward here, and Pibble Platoon, if they want to try to commit to this to prevent the butt scratch, they're going to have to do it short-handed, knowing they're missing their Kiriko, but it seems like they're just going to have to let the forward spawn fly, at least for the time being.
Yeah, that is the point unlocked here for Playgroup. They've got all the positioning in the world, but the high ground's still in control of Pibble Platoon now on their defensive side. The spawn room is just there on the other side of that rise. Mitsuri on the Emery in response here. Suzu committed just to try and keep him alive in this fight, but the Override Protocol high in the sky, as there's been no answer to Balerion all the way through this map here. To kick things off, a pickup onto Ghost Town, caught out of mech, and now sent back to spawn. Quick smart, as Playgroup has not stopped pushing. It's only been 3 minutes, and we're already inside of a full cap here. Finally, a stay of execution as Mitsuri takes down Big Shrimpin', but that is just one drop in the bucket here of Playgroup.
Yeah, and you know, you keep talking about the drop in the bucket here, but Playgroup finally is forced to repel and walk back for the time being, but there is still so much more to be done for Pibble Platoon before they can say that they are back in this map here. There's a slew of ultimates on both squads here, trying to get them focused on the Wrecking Ball, but it might be too little.
They've got the robot.
Too late. Yes, you've lost both your Lucius in this fight here, but that is a remake attempted from Ghost Town. Isn't able to get back into the mech, pays for it with his life. Shisui on this Sombra. Look, I understand we were talking about answers to that Wrecking Ball, and yes, this is on paper one, but just one member of the team is unfortunately not going to be enough to answer How to Draw. Finally, some further swaps here. Ghost Town on this Arista. They are desperate to find some responses, but honestly, we're still looking at a very huge push here already on the side of Playgroup. How to Draw finally hacked out, is hounded down. That is going to be the bot in control of Pibble Platoon for the first time since the very beginning of the map here, but they have had a massive deficit here. It is 100 meters to 15. You need to make some serious progress. You need to win several fights in a row for Pibble Platoon.
Several fights in a row is what you need here, which is so much easier said than done here, but it is the start of something at the very least for the time being here. Pibble Platoon actually able to be gaining meters for the time being as the Wrecking Ball rolls in.
Yeah, everyone turning to look at How to Draw, but for that, they're eating so much damage here. Mitsuru's Override Protocol is able to find some serious throughput, finally taking down Best Jinx. But even while you're going crazy on the front line, make that a 2K. Honestly, yeah, losing your Sombra might be worth that trade here. 2 for 1 is something that Pibble Platoon will take any day of the week, considering how far they are behind in terms of pure meterage here. How to Draw still has a minefield, could easily zone folks away, as this point has yet to be unlocked. We're still trading blow for blow here, but down near Kiriko is still a hugely difficult spot to be in for Pibble Platoon. You are losing one by one here, hemorrhaging players, and you still have not capped the point. Now you've got such a long run back here for these players as they are just getting picked apart, shoved into these small and close spaces. And the second How to Draw is unhacked, you're going to be right back on there, still with 4 ults for Play Group.
Yeah, Play Group has so much to be able to live through right now. I think the biggest thing is ring tripping. Is probably just going to be hiding, make sure not to be caught up by the DMP.
Soundbear committed here from Dr. Richtoff, and you know you need to weather this storm that is the Override Protocol high in the sky. Ghost Town eats a ton of damage, but looks like he will be able to weather it, at least for now. Has the Terra Surge unlocked, but the second that gold form and that armor dissipates, that Orisa is a lot more vulnerable than you might think. And Big Shrimp and Valerian both find the kills here to clean up this fight. Is there going to be even a retreat is attempted for Pibble Platoon, but I don't know if they're going to be able to escape. Valerian hounding their steps every single stage of the way.
Every single step of the way here, having to now give meterage over to Play Group for Pibble Platoon here. That being said, he did force out both DPS ults, so now it's not as bad of a situation here, and you didn't even have to give up Butt Scratch to finally be able to recontest, and now getting even more out of it.
Yeah, Minefield committed here, but the rest of Pibble Platoon are not really concerned at fighting over where the stated arena is meant to be from Play Group. Gang up finally pick up onto Shisui. I appreciate what the Sombra's trying to do, but unfortunately just gets picked out so quickly in so many of these fights. Javelin attempt does find Best Jinx for a hot second, but he's able to escape back the rest of the squad here quick as you please. Terra Surge committed from Ghost Town, but you are losing members left and right here. Pibble Platoon desperate for answers. They're coming into this next fight with an EMP and 3 other ultimates, but honestly, every advantage seems to get turned on its head here. They still were not able to bring that bot all the way back to that checkpoint, and Play Group are just playing with house money now as we enter the under 3-minute mark.
Yeah, now you're going to see a situation where Pibble Platoon has to use ultimates just to get out of their, just to get the bot back to neutral in the center here, so it's going to be incredibly difficult here. They're actually not interested in gaining more meters here, just wanting to secure the forward spawns and then being done from there here is now going to be another split fight.
Rush first from Best Jinx. Soundbear committed for Big Shrimpin as well as the Override Protocol high in the sky from Mitsuri, waiting for that overhealth to dissipate, or maybe not waiting, just instead depleting it yourself here with those right clicks from the sky box there. But Big Shrimpin does take a kill off onto Geo. The rest of Pibble Platoon, though, alive and kicking, doing so much work here. As yes, How to Draw is picking apart your squishier members, taking out Ghost Town as well. What looked to be an advantage for Pibble Platoon turned on its head entirely here. As long as you're not looking at that Wrecking Ball, you are losing these fights here for Pibble Platoon.
I mean, just absolutely insane what we just saw Gangam do. I mean, I'm gonna be so real. Thank goodness we have people who spectate cameras, because I like that. That is crazy what just occurred here. And now Play Group gonna continue to move forward with another Override Protocol.
Yeah, Valerian goes up, the damage comes down, and Mitsuri falls with it. Down their main damage dealer on the front line, and Ghost Town once again under so much pressure here. This Orisa's having to look 10 ways at once just to stay alive, just to keep the bot moving, and it's not nearly enough there, as yes, you're going to have the Terra Surge coming into this next fight, but once again, we are looking at the chance of a full cap here for Play Group. All they need is just a few more meters, and this bot has not stopped pushing. You are seeing a spawn hold here from How to Draw, who also has the Minefield online. As long as you stay alive for a few seconds longer here, that barrier committed just to keep sustained in this longer engagement. Find the roll through, find the pick off onto anybody else here, and that's going to spell immediate disaster for Pibble Platoon. You've got this Kitsune Rush, you've got the Terra Surge, you need to find some answers, you need to find some kills here. Getting How to Draw is a huge opening. The rush committed from Geo. I honestly think that was just a full attempt to bait out this Kiriko ultimate, and they succeeded in doing so. You're ceding some positional advantages here for Play Group, but again, a massive distance to make up for Pibble Platoon.
Yeah, Play Group realizes they didn't need to play for that fight. They're now playing for the overtime, the final fight, right? That's why you saw that Minefield not get committed or anything like that. So, you know, Play Group just going to be holding it all out for that final fight, because at this point, you know, 13 seconds left, one kill is going to be able to net them this map.
We're in the final seconds of the map here. Minefield laid through. Ghost Town desperate to stay alive, desperate to sustain the team as the Terra Surge comes out. The damage does come through. how to draw, has to play this so carefully, gets stunned out by the Javelin. Ghost Town does not forget that Wrecking Ball. Finding that pick off here might be just the thing. Playgroup thought it was all going to be over here, and now they still have held on to 2 ultimates, and Pibble Platoon spent everything they have, but it looks as though when the dice are done rolling, it's going to be Pibble Platoon in control of the bot, but they have such a great distance to make up here. Any step they make off this bot is going to spell disaster for them as the overtime wick burns for the rest of the map.
Yeah, it's 2, potentially 3 fights that Pibble Platoon has to win. And again, like you talked about, they're at an ult disadvantage already. Playgroup has any and everything they could ever want, and then some, and now Mitsuri to focus down immediately.
Yeah, no chance to find the value you need there. You're skirting away at the edge of these fights, desperate to stay alive, desperate to keep moving this bot, but desperation does not lend itself towards success here. Not for Pibble Platoon, not on New Queen Street. We are tying up this series once again, folks. It is 2-2 between Pibble Platoon and Playgroup. Playgroup once again at least in control of their destinies for one more map, until of course things swing back into their opponent's favor. These teams seem so evenly matched.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting as the series continues to go forward here. It feels like these teams are, it's sort of a will of these styles, a will of compositions here, where Playgroup continues to finally find ways to force the chaos and break through. And Pibble Platoon, you know, sometimes they can rein it in and keep it under control, but when it gets out of their hands, it gets out of their hands in a nasty way.
Well, folks, we'll be deciding a map 5 here, which of course is not the end. This is a best of 7, a first to 4. So map 5 coming up for you in just a few minutes as we go to a quick break. We'll be right back after this.
water is the softest and most useful.
These two teams are so evenly matched. We have an even up scoreline of 2-2 here in our grand finals of EU Masters between Pibble Platoon and Playgroup here, folks. We are still in the thick of this series. Neither team is even within shooting distance of a victory here just yet. Each team needs 2 more map wins to clinch the series and win the title and end the season on that highest of notes. But they've both been giving equally as good as they get here. Now it is a chance for Pibble Platoon to choose the map, and they've sent us here, as you might guess, to our first hybrid map of the afternoon, or the night, of course, as it actually is, where these teams are. We're going to King's Row.
Yeah, and to King's Row, it's the classic, it's hybrid. We had to go to hybrid before our map order resets itself for the back half here, so 110%. You saw it coming a mile away because these teams have about as much originality as anybody else does in the world, where it's just, hey, look, King's Row. But I feel like this is going to be another great battleground for the test of Pibble Platoon's sort of standard methodology versus Playgroups trying to cause chaos that we've been seeing all match long here. And Pibble Platoon going to have to see if they can actually put a stop to it once again here, as that certainly was a new Queen Street that rolled out of their hands.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is one of those map types where I have seen a good amount of Cat Bastion here when these teams want to run it, so both those bans are no longer available to Pibble Platoon, so they have the chance to face down those 2 heroes for the rest of this series, should that be Playgroup's decision. But the first ban coming the way of Pibble Platoon, I think a lot of the most important tools have already been removed here, but perhaps the one remaining is the Mei. I think this is an exceptional ban here from Pibble Platoon. I think Gangham's Mei has honestly been the that spark potential, the real surprise star power that Playgroup have relied on time after time in these close encounters, these close range map types, whether on Lijiang Tower or certainly there on Suravasa.
Yeah, and so that Suravasa, like you had said there, it sort of can be something to consider. But looking at what Playgroup could be banning here, I mean, their options, not going to say are starting to feel limited, but there's nothing necessarily like that sticks out in my mind. They go with a hazard ban. Sure, I guess. I mean, I couldn't even tell you if Playgroup has played hazard in this series, but it's just kind of, it's certainly a crazy thing.
It all but guarantees we won't be seeing Suguru come back into the roster here for Pibble Platoon. So yeah, we haven't seen it in a very long time here at the very least. Honestly, both these bans feel heavily in response to Lijiang Tower, a map that feels 10 years ago at this point here. But no changes, of course, with all those bans out of the way to the rosters. No surprises here either way. I'm expecting to see Tracers from both, well, I'm expecting to see Gangnam on Tracer. Shisui, as we've seen, any chance he has to play these long-range hit scan heroes will take it. So there's a chance to see a little bit of Widowmaker or even Ashe, honestly, as we head into the closer range quarters of points B and C.
Yeah, and so now we'll have to see, like you said, when you get into those later ranges, how it's going to end up playing out here. But especially on this first point, I feel like it is going to be, about how Pibble Platoon wants to play this, right? Especially for a defense, though, Playgroup with this Wrecking Ball and things of that nature. It is going to be chaotic for sure, but the second somebody dies, it's pretty much all but over for Playgroup's defense on this one.
Yeah, you're absolutely right here at Megalas. Yes, it's chaotic. Yes, it's devastating. If you can keep it rolling, the momentum is untouchable here. But once one piece falls, the rest of the team will fall in equal measure. Either the Bastion or the Cat, without that assisting other hero, doesn't have a whole lot to sustain themselves in a longer, protracted engagement. But it's Pibble Platoon on the defense. Folks, don't be fooled by these symbols on these cards there up top. it's going to be the team in blue holding strong here defensively. Mitsuri on this Reaper once again. We've seen, as is often his wont, he wants to answer into these tanks picks coming through. How to draw, though, is on the D.Va this time and not the ball. So a full swap here from what we saw in the spawn room doors. They want to mirror the backline at minimum, but of course these sim teleporters taking you all the way around the high ground, and now you're essentially defending the point you're trying to attack in a teleporter from the top ropes here. You can easily just approach and disengage at a moment's notice. Yes, you can take down that teleporter, but positional advantage is all in the hands of Play Group on their offensive side of things. Ghost Town, honestly, just desperate to find any positioning here, looking to find something to defend, some corner around which to place yourself, but this is not how the defense is meant to go. These sim teleporters really messing with Pibble Platoon's plan here on the defense. Now, crucially, no picks just yet here as Mitsuri finds the first one. Those dire trigger taking down Balerion. So for all their posturing, for all their positional advantage here, Play Group are kind of getting stuck behind enemy lines now, and another clean kill onto Best Jinx as Mitsuri powering forward. Honestly, King's Row becoming a Reaper's Paradise more and more here. That dire triggers former minor perk now adjusted here to the base kit here, really serving Mitsuri in good stead as you clean up this first push. Already burned a minute 30 off the clock.
Burning all of that time here in, Pibble Platoon. I was, worried when we originally saw that Wrecking Ball, but this swap over to the Ramatra has certainly been paying out in spades. I just realized I completely flipped the teams. Regardless, we're back on the ball, no more D.Va, and Play Group now trying to push forward with hopefully trying to do some more chaos creation.
There it is. The threatened composition in the spawn room is back here, is paying off, and once again, Play Group trying to power forward. Gangam on this Genji, the only wrinkle to this composition that we otherwise expect to see. The rush blade through from Geo first. Best Jinx about to have that online, but that's going to be positional and time bank advantage here to Pibble Platoon. They've still got plenty more to work with in this fight. Play Group just reset a lot of their ult charges, finding a kill on to Big Shrimpin and Balerion. Yes, the Revenant's Vortex does the work at the end of the day, but still 2 kills being traded on either side of this fight. It's not over just yet, but Pibble Platoon have both their supports online here, keeping Ghost Town alive and kicking on the objective, and Gangam under so much pressure still, desperately trying to keep this Genji alive on the objective. The rush ready from Best Jinx could easily shut this fight down should it go longer and longer here. It's going to be the go button for the rest of Play Group now. How to draw, powering forward, taking down Dr. Richtofen, who was so close to building up towards that sound barrier, and Best Jinx just healing and doing damage in equal measure. It's now just how to draw, holding the door, or rather becoming the door here, swinging in and out of this narrow choke point. Annihilation rolling on the objective. Ghost Town determined to swing this fight for Pibble Platoon. Look, the Bob and the Ramatra, 2 tanks working in tandem, earn a team kill, and not even 2 ticks here as we're down to under a minute for Play Group.
Yeah, but you did just invest quite a few ultimates. Now it's just the sound barrier that somehow has to get you through the minefield, the Bastion ult, potentially even the Dragon Blade if Gangam can build that one up in the next 30 seconds here, and already missing your Kiriko. That's when you think they're just gonna go from bad to worse with defense.
In a longer fight, you were counting on that Kitsune Rush, but now it's just a sound barrier, and only Ghost Town and Dr. Richtofen able to actually benefit from that, playing with anywhere within sight of this Lucio. So yes, the artillery strike on the objective. Yes, the minefield comes through, but it looks as though, just getting out of the way of those mortar strikes. Richtofen and Ghost Town holding strong on the objective as Mitsuri coming through the back line. It is the Dragon Blade out from Gangnam as overtime. Wick is burning, but the blade is slicing here. Never mind that Kendo Wick. It's going to be Gangnam slicing through it in a quick style here. That is the second tick and a third online for Play Group as they will just barely unlock the payload.
Yeah, and so now finally getting the payload moving here. It took everything in the kitchen sink, but they are going to be able to do it, and I feel like this streets phase is going to favor them a whole lot more with just being able to run around, be chaotic, be in multiple places at once here. But now just trying to hunt down this Tracer, see if we can get that extra stagger kill, and it seems like you will be able to do just that.
Yeah, how to draw, again, proving to be an unanswerable problem right now for the defense. We saw the attempt at the D.Va composition from Play Group out of the spawn, at least to kick things off here on King's Row. So they decided to go back to what works best for them here, which is maximum chaos, maximum disruption, and no surprises there. We've seen a D.Va swap this time for Ghost Town Shisui, taking a dive on the Ash. I'm not sure exactly what happened there. It didn't look like how the drop was anywhere close to you, so that's going to be another few seconds burned off the clock here. Still looking to find some push. There's no one on the payload just right now here for Playgroup. They're all determined to find these late pickoffs, but those late kills will pay off massively, as there's going to be just one more chance to hold for the defense.
One more chance C3 trying to do just a little bit of, I guess, you know, cheeky movement, just wanting to be quiet, not follow it up on. But Big Shrimp is just going to slowly drag the Bastion back to the objective here. As we get towards the end of point B, both teams now going to be trying to look for their opening to try to get into this one.
That's the rush coming through from Geo. Playgroup look to be disengaging. They do not want to bother this whatsoever. They lure Ghost Town into a small corner in the back alley, eviscerate that mech. It's just the Baby Diva left alive here as the Death Blossom comes out from Mitsuri, but no one is anywhere close to the Reaper. Clean kills left and right for Playgroup in the minefield, adding insult to injury as a team kill rolls here for the offensive side of things. Playgroup still with 2 minutes in the bank. Streets phase was all them.
Streets phase was all them all the time here. Trying to see what else can be done. Now, with the Bastion lurking on the high ground, just going to send in that artillery. Again, Bastion artillery, it's just one of those things, unless you're actually catching people off guard, it's going to be a very what? Oh, you're dragging the Diva off the map? Sure, why not?
I mean, Ghost Town's still technically alive, able to escape that one, has the boosters online, so able to withstand the Cat ultimate. You saw Big Strip and holding on to that for such a long time. It's the only point of the map with any environmental potential, so I understand not really wanting to use it all that much. The stun can certainly be useful in a large AoE, but turns out you don't really need all that. Even keeping the Diva out of the fight for as long as you did might have been a huge boon for the offensive side. Playgroup still free pushing here. About a minute left for them as the defense needs to find some answers, needs to be able to hold. It's gonna be the rush coming out from Best Jinx alongside the Blade from Gangam, so a little bit of protection here for this Genji at the end of the day. How to draw, just still rolling through. Still no real responses. Mitsuri and Ghost Town doing their very best to find the kills, but I don't know if it's going to be enough at the end of the day. Yes, the spawn is right here, but you're down to just 2 bodies alive on the payload itself, and you need to have a more consistent presence than that. Otherwise, Playgroup are going to finish with time in the bank, and that's going to be a sound barrier from Dr. Richtoff, and they're not done with this one just yet. Finally taking care of the harassing Wrecking Ball. That's going to be the defense holding for at least a few moments longer.
Yeah, and now heading into final fight territory, you still have the bomb for Ghost Town that can be thrown out on to the objective here. You have how to draw with another minefield though to throw over top of this. Some of these tanks going to be fighting for control. Meanwhile, the upside right now is Pibble Platoon. If they can delay this long enough, play it slow enough, they will get another Kitsune rush, but that every second that they delay can be an opportunity for Playgroup to finally get the full cap.
This stage of the push, zoning is the name of the game, so that minefield does pay off massively, at least for now, but Mitsuri finally pick up onto Valerian early on here, as Big Shrimpin just desperate to find some sustain onto the rest of the squad. The Kitsune rush laid through from Pibble Platoon. That's going to be an attempted catnap. It doesn't actually manage to catch anybody. How to draw, goes for a swing, and then goes for a swim, unfortunately. That's going to be a defensive hold. Playgroup just not able to full cap the map, but still, that is a massive push here that Pibble Platoon need to find an answer for on their own attack.
Yeah, but to be fair, for how Playgroup started that map, you know, having to get through point A in overtime, I think they're more than happy to take all of that progress here for the time being. But, you know, looking at, you know, how they're going to play this defense now is going to sort of be the question, because again, as I was talking about heading into the map, this chaos defense, it's not necessarily going to work out in your favor. It feels like Pibble Platoon is going to be able to just sort of just wait for a mistake. So Playgroup, they'll have to have some kind of adaptation, or if they're going to stick with the chaotic style, they have to actually, you know, find some kind of synergy within it, like say like another Diva Tracer situation or something to that effect, where people are moving in unison to actually execute on these kills.
We'll see what the answers end up being. I think this Diva comp here from Pibble Platoon, it makes total sense if they want to keep making this their go-to composition here on the offense. Whereas Playgroup, they want to make that same thing work on the defensive angle. Gangnam on this venture. I really like this pick here on King's Row in particular. I think it gives a decent amount of support to the dives from how to draw. And of course, everyone just being so mobile for play group could prove a massive stumbling block here for the offense. Pibble Platoon need to find some early opening picks, but again, getting an almost full hold on the defense certainly brought the time bank down to a manageable level.
Down to a manageable level for the time being. C-Suite back onto this Echo, trying to get into the back line. Nice little force on the Zuzu, but now C-Suite has to be careful to actually get out here. And like I said, Pibble Platoons are going to move in unison to be able to get around.
This Echo diving through from Shisui, looking to find the pickoff there. The beam not really connecting with anything here. And Gangnam, this is exactly where Avenger wants to be playing. Stuck in a small enclosed hallway. Stairs even will do just fine. Popping in and out of the scenery is exactly the sort of defensive angle we need to see here from Playgroup. Already stuffing this first fight. Very different here from the exact mirror on their own offense. That's going to be the first fight, first minute out of the books, but we're still fighting here on the objective as Pibble Platoon fighting their way back here onto the point. Ghost Town trying to lead the charge. You're having to be very concerned here about the consistent damage output that the Echo and the Reaper dive could easily combine to be. Shisui looking to find a single target. Stick bombs don't really connect with all that much as Playgroup still sharing time on the objective. It's already 1 tick and nearly a second here in the books for Pibble Platoon. If you can just stay on the objective for a little bit longer, that's going to be 2 ticks. So even if you lose this fight, this is still plenty of permanent progress gained for Pibble Platoon. It looks as though finally at the end of the day, Playgroup will hold, but you're down your mech for how to draw. Pibble Platoon have all the positioning and all the time in the world to work with.
All time in the world right now, yeah, as the attack, you have all of the time to work with, but they're willing to go right back in, and that might have been a mistake as you see the Echo focus down on it, so now not being able to full commit on this attack because you're still just down members.
Yeah, we saw Ghost Town able to re-mech way back behind enemy lines. That Zuzu perfectly timed from Beth's Jinx. Diva Bomb goes a little bit wide there, just as everyone was a little bit too invulnerable there through the choke point. Playgroup holding strong on the defense, so despite some aggression from Pibble Platoon, I absolutely agree here, Megalas, they might have committed a little bit too soon before the rest of the team was all together ready.
Yeah, and so now you're leading into a situation where Pibble Platoon maybe would love to have that Diva Bomb back. Playgroup, you're really considering rush, but it's dueling in the middle.
Both rushes laid through, but Gio immediately pays for it with his life, so it's just Playgroup free-firing now over that ultimate. Yeah, just with the way the pathways work out here, Gio is a little bit too deep. The rest of Pibble Platoon not there alongside that Kiriko. Can't even really get the value from the ultimate you're looking for, so yes, you burned it on either side, but still, all you have really, the copy and the Death Blossom. You need Dr. Richtofen to find the sound barrier very soon here, as we're down to just a minute left here for the offense. Pibble Platoon need to find an opening, because this is easily one of those maps that could turn into a full hold situation here. The copy out from Shisui onto the opposing Diva. Will we see a remech? We will. Alright, looks to be, well, for only a second as the ultimate finally wears off. Playgroup's defense really coming alive here at the 11th hour. Still 2 ticks on board. All you need is 33% more here for Pibble Platoon, and you're only really counting on that sound barrier.
Yeah, and so now Pibble Platoon starting to run out of time here, as well as run out of options, right? Both squads are going to have sound barriers available, but realistically beyond that, there's not a lot of tools to help engage this. You see C-Suite go over to that Widowmaker, trying to see if maybe a pick can be the answer to open this one up, but with time starting to dwindle, you're running out of options, but that's a good pick.
That's a huge opening, and yeah, Big Shrimpin determined to keep the team alive here. Down a body, you still need to hold strong here. You'd love to put this map to bed right here and now, but no one's on the objective. Finally, Valerian has to dive onto the objective, but pays for it with his life, as it's just the Diva and supports now crowding for room on the point. Big Shrimpin finding a pickoff, but it's not going to be enough at the end of the day. Both these sound barriers have well and truly worn away, and as the dust clears, it's just a venture left on the objective for Playgroup, and Gangnam can only do so much here, as finally the point is unlocked with just under 2 minutes 30. Overtime triggered, but Pibble Platoon are staying alive here on King's Row.
Staying alive for the time being. It feels like it's just a matchup that just won't end. These squads really willing to go the distance with each other time and again here, and this is just another example of that. Now heading into the street phase, we are seeing, you know, Pibble Platoon try to play a little further up here, but C-Suite finally having this Widowmaker come alive, that could mean a quick little push through the street.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, shades of Plate Group's own push through here the Streets phase, which was firmly uncontested on their own offense. Geo falling low, has to play a bit carefully, but still able to win out that duel against Gangam. Tons of value here from the backline. Has to be noted, Pibble Platoon are able to sustain themselves and keep themselves safe, even at these most dangerous points. So Shisui, free push on the cart, has the sights ready to go, and that's going to be how to draw. I guess you're gonna need to get a chance to remech. It's probably the quickest way back to it there, as yes, you're gonna have, no, going back to the Wrecking Ball here coming into this next fight.
Yeah, and so now we'll have to see what, what the plan is for this engagement to try to touch. But again, the ball rolling in without the rest of the squad in tow, already dangerous.
Tectonic Shock from Gangnam on the defense. You need to find a pick-off here, but despite all the damage, no confirmed kills. Yes, you're low for Pibble Platoon, but that Diva Bomb forcing everyone from Plate Group away from the objective here. But the second that ult is done with, how to draw, more than happy to dive right back in. Shisui and Dr. Richthofen will fall here. And so again, Death Blossom committed. All these ults here spent for Pibble Platoon, and none of them clinching the fight here. You're just losing one by one. Yes, you've gotten this overclock out here from Balerion, but that's still value for the defense. Ghost Town able to get a pick off, but still stuck on the payload now. Honestly, kind of being staggered out at this point, especially considering you've now lost your mech here, Baby Diva form, and you only got 30 seconds left for Pibble Platoon's offense.
Yeah, and staggering out this Baby Diva as long as humanly possible and preventing the remech means that Pibble Platoon is most likely going to have to send somebody in to touch, which if you can get a stagger pick, this can be the end of the map for Plate Group here, because you're not going to have that Diva back in time. Now, Dr. Richthofen can't be the one to touch, though. You want us to keep that Lucio alive to try to get that sound barrier to help you weather the storm.
Just the beats here you're hoping for both of these sides. The overtime wick has begun to burn here now on point B. Dr. Richthofen goes first, and that tempo beat forcing Pibble Platoon forwards, taking Plate Group by surprise. That sound barrier only connects onto the remaining 4 targets left alive as Balerion has already fallen, but the minefield on the objective could be the thing to zone everybody away and win you the map here at the end of the day. Plate Group would love to go up in the series, especially on Pibble Platoon's map pick. They need to find the kills though, and it's just Pibble Platoon lighting up the kill feed one by one, taking down Plate Group. This push, it's not done just yet.
It's not done yet. Plate Group is finally dispatched at the last minute here. But we do have to see how, the defense is going to try to continue to push a complete ult reset pretty much on the side of Plate Group, barring just the best jinx here. Meanwhile, Pibble Platoon already working without their Reapers, gonna make this one difficult.
Yeah, Mitsuri teleports directly into Big Shrimpin's open arms. That is a clean pickoff early on here. And, I mean, again, Pibble Platoon, I feel like they've been struggling to disengage all push long here. On their offense, they've really not cleanly separated these fights, just kind of running them together, and I think it's come to cost them in a lot of these later engagements. Yes, you sometimes find the pickoffs like Ghost Town just did here on Big Shrimpin, but still, more often than not, you are draining your own time bank, and now there's only 30 seconds left to work with. But honestly, what do I know? As long as Ghost Town is powering forward here, touching the spawn room doors of Plate Group, you've got all of the space in the world to work with. Now that you've taken down How to Draw, we might still be cooking here for the offense. 20 seconds left. It's going to be a Tracer Blink here onto the other side, but that is a door held by an ulting Reaper. Mitsuri's Death Blossom enough to halt the defensive side in their tracks. That's going to be another map for Pibble Platoon, and they will be the first team now in sight of victory. All they need is one more map, and the grand finals will be theirs.
Yes, very close affair indeed here on Kings Road. The back and forth literally down to the final moments, but finally you see Pibble Platoon able to push it over the line here, and now, now we're seeing sort of these moments of brilliance with the chaos, but it feels like Pibble Platoon is starting to, hammer down like it's a game of whack-a-mole, right? One nuisance after another. And so Plate Group now truly at the drawing board for the first time, having to be, the ones with their backs against the wall here, have to win the next 2 maps out if they want that victory here. And, while you do have the map pick, the pool is completely reset. As long as you're not repeating a specific map, you can go any and everywhere. So lots to consider heading into map number 6.
I feel like I'm expecting either Control or Flashpoint, honestly, here for Playgroup. Those seem to be the map types. I mean, Flashpoint, yes, Servasa did not go their way, but you had the Wrecking Ball banned. You didn't have a chance to run that tank that is the anchor point for your composition. So I'm curious to see where we head next, because, yeah, we're heading into the repeat modes at the very least here. You cannot go to the fan favorite Lijiang Tower, unfortunately, if Control is where you want to be. And honestly, Pibble Platoon, I think they're kind of happy to end up wherever. You're able to win on Flashpoint the last time we went to it, even though it was just essentially the D.Va mirror through most of that map, or in the Ramatra later on. It's going to be for our 6th map of the series, folks. We're heading to Dorado Escort, the name of the game.
Yeah, and Dorado, interesting to go Escort first here. I think this is potentially just trying to eliminate other Escort options being picked from Pibble Platoon. That is certainly could be a factor here, but also this could lean into more of your, your wacky, go crazy compositions, right? The ball rolling through the high ground and stuff, but also I feel like Pibble Platoon is happy to play here, right? We just saw them piloting the D.Va to great success and things of that nature, so I feel like this this battleground is certainly going to be one for the ages here, where both squads should feel like a fair advantage.
Pibble Platoon have a chance to end this series here and now, and Dorado is where the fate will be decided. Playgroup, however, desperately trying to hold on going into map 6. They want to force a map 7 out of this series, wring every single bit of progress we can from this final duel of our EU Masters Division. And so the first ban, once again in their hands, we are seeing further and further proof that, yeah, we are working our way through the entire hero pool at this point here. A D.Va ban, I think, is honestly an excellent choice from Playgroup. Obviously, Dive tends to be favored here on Dorado, especially on point A and B, and you're going to be playing the Wrecking Ball, so no need at all to face down the best dive option that Pibble Platoon have to offer.
Yeah, and so now with that ban coming through onto the D.Va, that is now clearly the reason why you're willing to go Dorado sole-handedly here to take out the D.Va here and Pibble Platoon. Again, it feels very similar situation to the last map where, there's kind of no specific ban you really need to hit here, because I believe you've already banned Wrecking Ball in the series. You're going to take the Ana out of the equation. Don't know if that was going to come up, but if it was, then it's certainly, I guess something to look at here. But no antis means that maybe you could try to mix it up, play a little bit of a different style if you're not going to be able to have your D.Va in play.
I feel like we only saw the Ana on Lijiang Tower from Playgroup alongside, of course, their Cat Bastion and Ball composition. So, yes, it is technically precedented, but I fully agree here. Perhaps not the most common pick, but I think honestly on a dive map like Dorado, you could very much get away with it, especially on the defensive side of things. So Pibble Platoon don't want to have to deal with that here. I think any of their brawl-style tanks, considering the only dive they've been going for so far is that D.Va, I think none of them really want to have to deal with an anti-nade or consistent sleep throughput. So, yeah, I think the D.Va ban, very impactful, but you're absolutely right here, Megalas. I think Pibble Platoon have less to worry about taking away individual pieces here and more should concern themselves with the overall speed and tempo of play. No swaps yet again. These compositions, these particular rosters are going to be the ones we stick with through probably the end of the series here, but of course this map could be the very end of it all if Pibble Platoon have their way. But as Playgroup's map pick, they need to be the ones to set the tempo here, and of course with this Wrecking Ball, they're so consistently on board with that.
Yeah, and setting the tempo is always where the position you want to be. The one in the driver's seat is generally what you think of in terms of just who's being able to control the destiny of the series and having it in the palm of their hands here. That being said, though, feels like either of these teams can take over the driver's seat. It can change multiple times within a map itself here. So tons of different things to consider here. But as we load into Dorado, one thing is for certain, Playgroup, there is no room for error anymore. This map has to be a win.
Certainly has to be, but of course, you've got to make sure you're keeping a cool head all the way through this, whether on attack or defense first. Dorado, like the rest of our escort maps, is a very lengthy goal to achieve. With the tempo that Plate Group are trying to play, of course, they can easily power through some of these choke points, but our last escort map, Havana, not only did we not see any Wrecking Ball and it was not banned out, that was a full hold for Pibble Platoon, so Plate Group, I wonder if they're going to want to attack or defend first here.
Yeah, and so now you do have, you know, that attack or defense potentially coming up here. I don't necessarily know what is going to feel better. And it's just one of those things of what you have to look at in terms of the matchup itself here. Because ultimately, attack versus defense isn't going to matter too much. It's just about setting tempo, setting pace, right? Say you have a really good attack, you can sort of have that sort of mental chip on your shoulder. Then if you have the defense up, per se, that holds you to first point and things of that nature, it can be a bit of a difference maker. But we are just simply waiting to load in. It seems like there's potentially server issues happening on Overwatch right now, so that's fun. We'd love to see that. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I want to highlight in particular, yes, Pibble Platoon won King's Row, but honestly, I think those first 2 points of their push coming through, points A and B, were a little closer than necessary. I think we're starting to see kind of the breakdown of the consistent game plan of Pibble Platoon, really playing into Plate Group's own chaotic style of play. So honestly, I don't think we needed to go into overtime on most of those points there. I think Pibble Platoon, had they been playing a little bit more consistently, making sure to disengage in these fights and not continue fighting even when you're already down multiple members here and Plate Group are still looking well, put together. So I really want to make sure that Pibble Platoon maintain their own game plan here, because if Plate Group have their way, if we both devolve into chaos, I know one team here can really thrive in that play style.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things that certainly can be a thing, but instead of us rambling back and forth here, I'm going to hope we can just throw it to a quick break here in the. Oh no, wait, hang on, sending potentially. We are ready to get back into it? Question mark. We're literally just sort of hung in limbo right now, waiting to see if we're actually going in. It seems like we finally are.
Alright, it's Dorado here, folks. Thanks for bearing with us as we sort things out on the back end. But yeah, honestly, a map we don't get to see every single day here. I love coming to this map in particular, favorite escort map of mine. But it looks like for the defense, that's going to be Pibble Platoon out here first once again. Ghost Town on this Sigma. This is something that I had highlighted way back when we saw the swap here from the first map into the second, where Ghost Town, well known for playing the Sigma as well as the Diva. I think this is honestly a great composition here for the defense to kick things off. Shisui as well does favor these long-range hit-scan heroes, and Ashe, perhaps the best and most flexible of that particular roster. On the offensive side of things, the Winston hover out the gate, I would be shocked, but hey, how to draw, don't let me yuck your yum.
So now, wanting to see what is going on here, Pibble Platoon, trying to see how their attack is, or how their defense rather is going to go with Plate Group being on the offense here, trying to jump in and out, having to be incredibly careful with these engagements, because if one falls smooth, especially when you're on the Winston, you can just be thrown up.
Yeah, that bubble is not lasting very long here in the face of those Hellfire shotguns from Mitsuri. Such a consistent group player throughout this map. Has to play a bit carefully. Balerion, one of the best known Freyas, I think, in our entire EU, divisions here, whether at all levels, but certainly here in the EU Masters. So you have to be very conscious of the consistent damage that Balerion's able to put out here all the way through. That's a quick mid-air creation from Ghost Town. How to draw, having a really tough time actually dislodging anyone here on the high ground. But as long as the payload is moving, and crucially, folks, it is moving this entire time, might not matter too much at the end of the day, but finally with Pibble Platoon, they're going to drop down to the payload. Still being pushed. Free cart progress here from Gangam. Finally will be stopped as we burned a minute 15 and some change off the clock.
Yeah, and so now you are, watching Pibble Platoon try to, figure out what they can, figure out the places they want to hold here. Not having that high ground anymore, certainly going to be a thorn in the side here. The play group now going to be getting a little bit vicious, looking for their moment to get in just like that.
Valerian finding a pick-off kill, has the bullet shot ready to go, might not even need to use it in this fight. Another kill falling their way. Playgroup can hold on to their about to be full stack of ultimates here. As How to Draw finding pick after pick. The Winston still just as good as that Wrecking Ball once you get rolling with it. 2 minutes left in the bank, is about to come up to 4 minutes 30 here for that push. Plenty of time to work with now, and Pibble Platoon need to find something on the defense. Shisui under a lot of pressure here. Yes, Valerian does not outrange you, but certainly can get that consistent damage.
Yeah, that's sort of the hope with that consistent damage, like you were saying here. Now, though, just being careful, waiting to make sure that the Widowmaker hides for the moment and hold these sight lines. As now with the jump in, it seems like you're just gonna hold the monkey up.
Flux up, but the bullet shot comes out here from Valerian in the middle of that ultimate. So Ghost Town, despite finding the damage and finding the spatial control, falls down in the midst of getting that Flux. Yes, you do lose Valerian, but still, that is value gained and plenty of progress consistently here. We're about halfway through the second phase of the map, but the rush laid through from the high ground from Best Jinx. It's going to be a full disengage from Pibble Platoon, exactly what we're hoping to see. And How to Draw eating a ton of damage on that re-engage. Mitsuri, this Reaper, really having How to Draw's number. Yes, you're finding most of the success, but once Mitsuri comes alive, that is a 3K with the Death Blossom here. The DPS going crazy for Pibble Platoon, finally putting a stop to this push, finally getting themselves some distance now that we've seen the Winston swap.
Yeah, and so now you are trying to get that payload. You have that payload up, like you were saying here, but play group now looking for their opportunity to try to get back in here, using the spray pick to try to get some good explosive damage to help sort of jump on and burst these targets, but so much easier said than done when you have the emphasize up.
Lights out from Shisui, both support ults ready to go. That is all the positional advantage, all the information you could possibly want, but that doesn't mean a whole lot when you've got a bunch of crossbow bolts sticking out of your noggin. That's going to be Shisui falling, but Best Jinx not able to escape with the rest of the team here. It's going to be still with the sound barrier ready on the objective, committed now from Big Shrimp and lands onto 3, hoping that's enough for this push to land through and sail into the second point. There's no one left alive on the objective. Dr. Richtofen doing everything he can with this rally, but it's just not enough to sustain everybody here all together. That is, Valerian calls it, that's a cheeky little bit of a C9 there on the objective. Pibble Platoon still had the bodies left alive, but that is point C unlocked, and honestly, not a ton of distance here left to go.
Yeah, and so now, yeah, not a lot of distance already into point 3. This is exactly what play group needed for a good offense here. That being said, it has been stopped for the moment thanks to these key pickoffs here. Shisui certainly being a thorn on the Widowmaker, but when you're on this Widowmaker Reaper, certainly you're a problem for all the squishies, but as you see, How to Draw on the Wrecking Ball really can roll around the map unperturbed because there's just not even enough damage on the side of Pibble Platoon to make How to Draw even nervous for a moment.
Now, you're really counting on Mitsuri to find that out, and as we see, still under a ton of pressure here. He's not really able to find the space you need to work with, and Gangun's Pulse Bomb taking down Dr. Richtofen. That is just spelling disaster after disaster as the cascading dominoes fall. Playgroup free pushing here into point C with over 2 minutes 30 in the bank. No sign of stopping now with just the Sights and Death Blossom online for Pibble Platoon.
Just the Sights and the Death Blossom here trying to continue forward in this matchup. C3 does get that pick off here, so the payload progress should hopefully stop for the moment here. You are looking for a little more. Ooh, nice headshot. And now the Wrecking Ball just too little too late in this situation. But play group sent back to spawn for now.
Finally, the stabilization that we need to see from Pibble Platoon, but hell, we are in point C. This is starting to look pretty dire. 2 minutes left to go, and yes, Playgroup spent pretty much everything in those last 2 engagements. You're about to have both support ultimates here in just a little bit, but easily you've got to weather the storm that is going to be both the Death Blossom and that Primal Rage. Ghost Town could easily lock things up and stymie this push for even longer. Has that ult ready to go, trying to shove anybody back here. It's going to be Playgroup still trying to find their angles of attack pick. They want to actually build up towards these ultimates. Valerian under a ton of pressure. Yes, lands some damage, but it's not enough to stay alive as Ghost Town finds that pick off. Pibble Platoon holding one by one. They find the kills. Mitsuri still holding on to this Death Blossom. All these ultimates now built for the defensive side. They didn't have to spend a single one. You lose Dr. Richtofen, and Gangum's still alive and kicking, doing a ton of damage here. This Pulse Bomb could easily shut things down if you're not too careful. Suzu committed and a dash away from Shi, so he keeps you alive for a second longer here, and we'll stabilize once again.
Stabilizing with what you can do here. Now, with only a minute left, like you said, both teams have built up a slew of ultimates here, but I definitely have to favor what Pibble Platoon has, at least for the time being. As long as these ultimates are staggered out, it should favor them in the long run here, but Minefield already over the entirety of the enemy spawn.
Those support ults is all Playgroup have left to work with, but it turns out they might not even need them here as they're getting kill after kill. The Minefield's shoving everybody back. You're stuck in the spawn at very best here, rolling forward now into that point C capture. The sight's out from Chisui, but you already know where everybody is located. Playgroup just need to find the pickoff, need to find the damage, the rally, and both rushes down. Make that all 4 support ults at the same time. A full celebration as the fireworks come rolling here on the cart. When the dust settles, who is going to be left remaining as that Winston is high in the sky, as high as the skybox will let him go. Valerian back on this Bastion, finding the kills though is such a devastating spike here for Pibble Platoon as Playgroup are finding more and more. We're down into very nearly overtime. It's going to be that wick beginning to burn here with 0.17 meters left to go. Will they find the kills? Will this be a full cap? It is just the last minute sustain on the payload. Once Ghost Town falls, that's going to be a full cap here for Playgroup. Pibble Platoon, they found some sticking points, but it wasn't nearly sticky enough, as that is a full cap on Torado. Not something you see every day.
Yeah, you're going to have to, you know, have a massive attack here just to mimic and go into extra rounds here for Pibble Platoon if you want a chance of closing the series out here and now. But honestly, I feel like it's going to be incredibly difficult, right? We've seen, you know, Pibble Platoon try a few different things here, but ultimately it feels like they were relying on just picks to come through and people making hero plays. And while that can work for a fight or two, it just unfortunately is not going to be a super reliable style for pick after pick to try to come through. Playgroup, in the meantime, they seem to have found their rhythm once again with how to draw on this Wrecking Ball. Gangum flipping around on the Tracer, being a menace for sure here. And so looking at how this is going to have to play out, I mean, Pibble Platoon, again, you know, they have to find some extra gear. They have to find some way to actually be able to deal with this. And it seems like, at least in the spawn, they are going to be attempting to mimic. I'm not sure how beneficial that's going to be with Ghost Town on the Wrecking Ball, but I mean, at this point, you are just trying to figure out which dive tank is going to help you get through this first point the best with so many high grounds to take.
Valerian has the Bastion on defense. No cat, of course, but still plenty of high ground to operate from. And it's going to be the Wrecking Balls mirrored here on either side. Ghost Town needs to provide an answer to the most dominant ball we've seen so far in this division here out of Playgroup. How to draw, leading the charge so far for the defensive side of things, stalling out this point as heavily as you can, finding a pick up onto Geo just to kick things off on the defense. This feels like a symptom of things to come here, as Playgroup more than happy to draw this one out for as long as they possibly can. A kill onto Mitsuri. We're just trading one at a time here, finding these picks, and it looks as though Ghost Town might be the next to fall here. This ball duel is not at all favoring the offense.
Yeah, and so now with the contest coming through on this payload here, as you see, it really is not moving because How to Draw just has such an exemplary control. And like the same issue for the defense here, unless Mitsuri can find a way to focus down on the How to Draw, you're not really going to have a way to deal with the How to Draw's massive HP pool.
Yeah, Playgroup still shutting the door against Pibble Platoon here. They need to find some openings here on the offensive side of things, but they're just, finding nothing but shut door after closed window that often looks so much like a door. Doesn't really do you much good at the end, though. Ghost Town swapping over to this Risa. I think this is a better decision here. Yes, it's going to make your pathing up to this high ground a bit more difficult, as we can see Pibble Platoon trying to find some inroads, as they're not really playing for those vertical dive heroes of their own. Of course, Mitsuri can access that alongside your backline, but it's not enough to actually dislodge this defensive side of Playgroup. But we saw the same thing on the other side of the map here. A quick pulse bomb and a kill found by Gangam. Make that a 2. This Tracer is popping off for Playgroup. Defense holding strong as the cart has made it through this first initial choke point, but it is just Ghost Town left alive on the objective here as Geo falls. One by one, they're getting picked apart yet again as Playgroup more than happy to play this war of attrition.
Yeah, it feels confusing at times. It feels like Gangam almost has like a cloak of invisibility, like that fight you saw there, right? The kill comes through onto Dr. Richtofen over Mitsuri's shoulder, and Mitsuri's just like, must have been the wind, and just does not even acknowledge that there's a Tracer doing any or everything in these situations. So now, Minefield out in the choke here to try to stop this push.
Minefield out here, no chance to push for at least a few moments longer, and of course How to Draw would love to shove any of these squishier targets directly into that devastating zone. But a kill on the Big Shrimpin', that is going to be the first opening at least for Pibble Platoon. Kills being traded on either side here as it is the Minefield. Look, as long as Gangam and How to Draw are alive in these fights, you cannot count Playgroup out. We are down to just over a minute here, and Playgroup's defense more than happy to burn out this time bank. Pibble Platoon coming to this next fight with plenty of ults, but still, they need to find some answers.
Pibble Platoon, like you said, they have tools to work with, but it's actually, oh, the first onto the Lucio Dr. Richtofen somehow able to stay alive. Now Playgroup has to find a way to mirror back these ultimates.
You just need to be able to disengage for a second here, but ooh, a pulse bomb kill. Gangam falls to his own ultimate. The rush from Best Jinx a little bit too late here. I think that might have been, honestly, all these ultimates over-investing in a fight that's already lost. I'm assuming a swap coming at least from Big Shrimpin', because Playgroup clearly were not going to have a hope in that fight once you had already lost the Tracer and the Kiriko. It's going to be a Zenyatta pick from Playgroup. Love to see it here. We haven't seen one all series long despite the ban, and this is going to be a chance to pop off here. That Discord Orb could melt Ghost Town.
I mean, yeah, the idea is there's really nobody to run down the Zenyatta, right? No sort of dive presence anymore on the side of the Platoon. That being said, I guess Sebastian will just do all the work, and yeah, that was a Death Blossom.
Mitsuri only got out one die, which of course was his. That's going to be a swap here on to that Genji Sojourn. So yeah, seeing that Zenyatta decide, no, we cannot let this go unanswered. So it's going to be, honestly, very similar to the composition we always got to see at the very beginning of Overwatch 2. But instead of that Junker Queen, it's going to be the Orisa. Ghost Town has this Terra Surge ready to go.
Reset for the time being here, but now with another Minefield in the show, trying to catch people off, finds Dr. Richtofen, and it's going to be more time burnt off the clock. The Pibble Platoon just has to wait. Of course, nice kill on the Gangam, but you do need more than that here, as it is just still members dying left, right, and center.
Playgroup firmly in control of the positioning here. Mitsuri having to back all the way out of this fight. Valerian is a very scary target to face up against, and of course, a massive health pool. This is an Orisa dive onto that Zenyatta. Terra Surge committed, finds so much damage. Best Jinx falls, Big Shrimpin' gets away with life intact, but yeah, it turns out bending just a little bit, forcing yourself around that corner is enough for the rest of the team to come back in to take down that Orisa. We are down to just over a minute here, folks, for this push. Pibble Platoon, they've got the tools once again. I feel like I'm repeating myself here, same as it was on point A, but still, Playgroup have proved unmovable here in these situations.
And so now the artillery strike is out on the high ground as well here. Already catches a member. So now again, it's going to be another situation where Pibble Platoon is forced to sit and wait.
That's burning time off the clock. The pulse bomb committed here from Gangam doesn't find anything. I really hope that was firmly committed here, because you're not going to have anything else for a hot second at the very least. Best Jinx has this Kitsune Rush in this next fight, but honestly, ults might not matter at the end of the day as long as you're popping off on the defense. It's been so tough to actually dislodge this Bastion. No cat necessary with this crazy high ground you see on Dorado defense.
The high ground so oppressive. Pibble Platoon trying to assault the high ground over and over, not able to get anybody to the objective. Now in what could be their last 20 seconds here on Dorado, and already down Geo is massively bad.
I mean, that boop up from How to Draw and the grenade directly in, someone's gonna die to that consistent burst damage. We're down to the final 10 seconds and counting, and no one's even close to the payload at this point here. Dr. Richtofen commits the sound barrier, someone has got to touch. There is going to be a couple bodies left on the point, but Ghost Town, the last remaining member back in spawn room here. The blade committed from Chisui, a permanent discord directly onto this Genji here, eating so much damage on the approach. Finally will take down the Zenyatta, but that is faint praise as a certified C9 comes through. Plate group will take us to a 7th and final map.
Feels like it was written in the cards, the way these teams are going back and forth all day long. It's just, again, another exemplary performance of how to draw and squad, being able to just deal with any and everything coming their way there. So just, you know, another one in the bucket, back and forth here. Pibble Platoon on the upside at least gets the map pick, but all in all, this series is living up to what a grand final should be.
Absolutely, folks, but don't worry, the 7th and final map coming up right after this. Don't go anywhere. The grand conclusion to this series right after this.
Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yours.
Of course, it was going to come down to this, folks. It is Map 7 here between Plate Group and Pibble Platoon, the grand finals of our EU Masters Division here in CGL Season 17. Of course, it's been myself, Rags, and Megalas taking you through all the action here in the previous 6 maps, and we are heading to one more to round us out here to close off this series and crown for all who is going to be the grand victor here. And of course, we had to head off to Flashpoint to close things out. It's New Junk City.
New Junk City, it's another Flashpoint map. I personally enjoy Flashpoint a lot, so it's good to see it get to go for the final map here. No potential of a draw. 5 points. The first to 3 separates one of these teams from hoisting that trophy once and for all. 3 hours all for naught. It'll be decided here and now here. But these squads going into it, one last set of bans. They've analyzed each other. They've seen the different compositions. They've had so many different bans already throughout the series. At this point, feels like they're picking over scraps of what they can finally ban again.
And interestingly, no repeat bans. Everyone has done, there's been no overlap here. Each team has only banned out the ones they've done. And that's going to be a Tracer ban here from Pibble Platoon. Honestly, a pretty significant one here. You might, I mean, here's the thing. Yes, Gangam was a really solid Tracer, honestly doing so much work here. I'm thinking particularly on Plate Group's offense on Dorado, but an equally devastating Mei, which of course we banned out coming into that map. So yeah, we're really running out of the most impactful things, and honestly, all you can do at this point is cross your fingers and hope that your composition, once the dust settles and the bans are said and done, that yours is the one to provide the answers you need, because the adaptations mid-map are starting to lose steam here.
Yeah, the adaptations certainly running out on both sides of the coin here, so it feels like this has got to be some once and for all type energy here. The ban onto the Tracer, I think, is more than fair. Gangam has been going crazy on that, but it feels like Gangam has been going crazy on just about everything. Meanwhile, the Malga ban on the other side, I don't think we've seen Malga this series, but this is just a guarantee that our favorite Samoan will not rear his massive head in this final map.
Yeah, I mean, we tend to see, if we do see Malga, which he is on the rise in a lot of stages of the game right now, but no, not in this series whatsoever. But if you're going to run him anywhere, I feel like New Junk City is one of the most likely places to find him here, despite, of course, New Junk City being exactly where it is. Not sure if Malga in the lore is in charge of making that swap here for the Junkers. We'll have to see how that pans out in a future season, folks, but no changes whatsoever in the rosters, as we've come to expect. Once we got Ghost Town in here for the tank line, it's been full speed ahead for both of these teams. You both feeling like they've got the right pick, the right mix of 5 players to make this one work, to bring it home. And honestly, I don't know how this is going to land here, Megalas. We've been really back and forth all series long. Even the map wins have been close and hard fought, so it is impossible to say how it's going to shake out. I'm expecting to go to all 5 points.
Yeah, and then there's, you know, it would not surprise me to see this go all 5 points in the slightest here. It's been the 2 different tales, the chaos from Plate Group or Pibble Platoon trying to be the standard methodology in all of this. In the spawn rooms, we see Pibble Platoon going to be coming out on what looks to be mostly standard, but with no Tracer in play, we've swapped over to the Reaper. And meanwhile, Plate Group, it's standard Brawl, Gangam back on that Mei, Valarian back on that Bastion here. What they've been doing well on all series long.
I really favor these compositions, both of them for either team here. I think that Reaper Sojourn is kind of the best of both worlds for the DPS line of Pibble Platoon. But likewise here, that Mei and Bastion plays so well alongside that Ramatra that I really can't call it here before we actually get things kicked off. Already, Mitsuri under a lot of pressure has to back off to the low ground just to be careful of Balerion. However, you can't escape from the Bastion, as it's going to be Balerion finding out Mitsuri and how to draw, cleaning up Shisui on that disengage. So Pibble Platoon down their DPS will let this one go. First cap going the way of Plate Group.
Yeah, very quick and you miss it type of fight here, where now they're going to be spamming themselves out of the door but we'll have to wait and see. Pibble Platoon needs to find a way to try to break in here. Diva Mech is not going to be able to do it by themselves here. You have to be able to burst in a different way here, potentially from different angles.
Ghost Town under a lot of pressure, has to back away, get healed up by Geo and Dr. Bricktoff, and you can see already Kitsune Rush about to be online for Geo. Well ahead of Best Jinx, at least for now. All that healing necessary from losing those fights, but a D-Mech onto Ghost Town to kick things off here. Yes, you're mid-ultimate, but you can also just kite this damage completely here for Play Group, and they're just using this time, this positional advantage to build up towards some ults of their own. The artillery strike, that mortar can come down anywhere you please. Gangnam dueled out on the outside of this fight, not able to utilize that blizzard, which as we've seen has been the win condition for so many fights. Shisui really coming alive here, finding kill after kill. Is this going to be a third? Well, Mitsuri finds the final blow, but not a moment too soon, as once you take down Big Shrimp in here, that's going to be a map flip, a point flip here for Pibble Platoon at 99%. Play Group just need one more fight to take down Stadium.
Yeah, like I said, Pibble Platoon, they needed to approach that from different angles. That was just going to have to be the only way they were going to be allowed to break in there. Play Group, though, actually both squads rather, have a decent amount of ultimates built up here. It's going to be about seeing who can find value with what here, especially looking towards Gangnam's Blizzard to try to lock people up very early.
Yeah, it's going to be the rush coming out first from Best Jinx. Oh, a ton of damage comes through here. Shisui pulls that Death Blossom, finds the damage, finds a couple pickups here on the back end of that, taking down Gangnam with Ghost Town there to take down Balerion as well. So that is still both of those support ults invested from Play Group, finding nothing in this fight. The overclock from Mitsuri trying to shut the door against the annihilating How to Draw. Still fighting this one out here, committing ultimates on the objective at this point here. Play Group, you're finding a couple kills, or at least the D-Mech and Baby Diva kill, but that's going to be it, and that's everything you had. I'm expecting some swaps from at least the tank.
You're certainly expecting it here, and yep, How to Draw has decided that it is back over to the wrecking wheel in this trying time. The May not able to make it onto the objective even time here, so that'll be the first point going over to Pibble Platoon here now as well. They have a decent ult advantage. Both support ultimates still lying in wait here, whereas Gangnam with the Blizzard is the only tool currently in favor of Play Group. Of course, more swap ups coming through here. Swaps to ultimately end up back on the same composition. Very interesting sort of take from Play Group here, but we'll have to see how they approach now that they're finally here.
Yeah, I'm also somewhat perplexed by that. I know the Wrecking Ball was surely to get back to the touch, but also it's what you've been running all series long. It's kind of been your, a composition of choice here, but the Kitsune Rush down from the high ground. Geo forcing everybody from Play Group back, disengaging here is the right call, but it is going to let Pibble Platoon get first control of the objective here. Whoa, that is a clean damage spike coming through directly on top of Geo. Ghost Town able to stay in mech there. The Blizzard now on the high ground. Play Group, the Eat though comes through. Ghost Town able to find out that May ultimate. Oh, all of that value so consistent all series long, but this time falling prey to that Diva. I think that alone is reason enough to stay on this composition here for Pibble Platoon, who after that fight win are pretty comfortable here, just holding strong on this high ground. Another Death Blossom from Shisui could easily shut things down should things get a little bit too scary for them.
Yeah, and you see the full-scale retreat from Play Group. They want to be able to approach this as 5 here. Missing that Blizzard really is going to be a thorn in the side here, but you do have another Bastion ult to try to help make space, try to clear through on this high ground for your engagement, but you're in with the Death Blossom.
That's Shisui finding value yet again here, and oof, kills traded out. All that damage from that artillery strike finds some pay dirt as the rest of Play Group able to dive onto those softened up targets, but as long as Shisui and Ghost Town are left in these fights, you cannot count Pibble Platoon out. That is the second point going their way, 100-0 yet again. Play Group struggling to find an answer, and if they don't find one, this is going to be it.
Yes, indeed. Back against the wall. One more point separates Pibble Platoon from the trophy here. Play Group at least has some ultimates heading into this next fight. You have the dual support ultimates as well as the Ramatra Annihilation, which means tons and tons of sustain, hopefully, but you have to actually make it work and find value with these tools. They've already made it over onto the junkyard, onto the objective, but they have to get the kill.
Both rushes answered through, Xing over the objective at this point. Plague Group and Pibble Platoon both fighting tooth and nail over the point. Annihilation rolling, but the Deal Bomb from on high forces how to draw his attention skyward for a hot second here. Gangnam falls in the midst of all the chaos, but it looks as though Plague Group are the first ones in control of the point here, just a hair too late, as Pibble Platoon were trying to contest that before it was capped, not able to do so at the very end of it all. Valerian back now on the Symmetra instead, so an interesting wrinkle to this composition that doesn't really seem to be slowing down Pibble Platoon too much, though. That Sim Beam is going to cut directly through that mech. Ghost Town de-mech'd here. No tank, essentially, for a little bit longer on the objective. And now the Blizzard comes out. This time, no D.Va around to eat it up. Gio and Shishui, though, both finding the kills. Doesn't matter at the end of the day. You just disengage for a hot second, and that's all the Pibble Platoon need. 47% is the only percent you'll gain, at least for now. Plague Group, they're going to have the sound barrier and that wall, but no real offensive tools.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you're worried about now, especially with the switch over to the Venture. Pibble Platoon can lie in wait at the doors here. They can use the Death Blossom on the doors, or if they allow Plague Group to come in, they have that OC lying in wait here. Either way, one's going to force the sound barrier, and that's going to leave the other open season here. But Plague Group has to play fast. They have to get in. They can't wait.
Diesel going in first with the Death Blossom, finds a pick off onto Best Jinx. No chance to build up anywhere close to that Kitsune Rush in this fight. Gangnam finds a pick off, but that is faint praise when the rest of the team has fallen down around you. And a quick railgun kill from Mitsuri there to add insult, or rather injury, to at least another injury. Final fight territory for Pibble Platoon on the point.
So incredibly close here. It is going to be that final fight territory. Pibble Platoon has so many ultimates to work with. They're going to be able to mirror the sound barriers and things, and as well as have the Kitsune Rush, we'll have to see what the Sim Wall can do here.
Walls out first with the overclock on the high ground, and you're just a little bit too close for comfort there. Mitsuri backs off for a hot second. That sound barrier from Dr. Richtofen paying off massively. Can you weather the storm? It looks as though when all is said and done, as close as the series has been, Pibble Platoon lighting things up here on New Junk City. This map has not been close. The only one all series long that has a head and shoulders victor over the opposition. Pibble Platoon will take the series all the way to 7, but it is a 4-3 victory for the team in blue. They will be your champions of the EU Masters Division.
They came in as the lowest seed, a little bit probably trepidatious, immediately losing, has to come through the lower bracket, but they get the job done at the end of the day, run it all the way back in a very close 7-map match here against a Plate Group, but they finally are able to claim victory, and Plate Group sent home wondering what went wrong, if I had to guess, because this was truly their match to lose. They coasted through the upper bracket, they had it all going their way, and unfortunately it is just not it was just not meant to be in this situation. Pibble Platoon comes up the victor.
The third time these teams have met all season long, and the first time Pibble Platoon have come out the victors here. What a long and hard-fought series. Honestly, yes, Plate Group, you didn't get the victory here, but still congratulate yourselves on a job well done. But of course, Pibble Platoon, they really made it work, made us wait for it, and made us sweat all the way through. In just the first 5 maps, not a single ban here overlapping. These teams having very clear reads and harsh words, at least for each other, in terms of the ban phase coming through here. But of course, I do know between these teams, it is all love, both of them providing so much support throughout the entirety of the season here. Plate Group, of course, your sportsmanship awards for the season as well, but Pibble Platoon coming out the victors, wearing the crowns at the end of the day here. A hard-fought season and a very hard-fought playoffs. As you highlighted, Megalas, they dropped down to the lower bracket from that first round and had to battle back all the way through here to take down Plate Group, who themselves were undefeated. A true rags to riches story here, really coming off huge when it mattered most, taking it to the dominant team and winning at the very end of it. What a narrative, what a story they've spun for themselves here. I cannot wait to see what awaits this team in the future.
Yeah, cannot wait indeed here, and while we could speculate and praise all day long, I'm sure they can do a much better job saying it themselves. So we're going to throw everything to a quick little break, set up some interviews with some people for y'all. Obviously, you get to hear and all that stuff. So Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Water is the softest and most yielding substance, yet nothing is better than water for overcoming the hard and rigid, because nothing can compete with it. Lao Tzu.
Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave.
Our inside here, you get an insight and you know something, but you don't want to say it out loud because you're kind of afraid that it's not going to be really true and it'll spoil the whole thing for you, But when somebody makes you say it, then, and it's true, then it just makes it more beautiful of a thing.
Welcome back, folks. We are here with an interview with some members from Playgroup, our second place team here in the EU Masters Division. First of all, welcome to both of you. It feels like it was only, I don't know, 3 hours ago that we got a chance to chat before this series here. But welcome. Sorry we didn't get the result here today, but what a match and what a series. Honestly, coming into map 7, is that really how you thought that one was going to shake out?
I don't know. When you get so late in the series, like all the good bands are gone. Like you're playing like maps that like no one really wants to play. It's always like weird there. But I just think we kind of just failed at like problem solving. Like for OS, we don't really like we win like one fight. It's just we just don't make like the correct adjustments. But didn't obviously expected to win like going in the map 7, but it's unlucky. It happens.
Hey, listen. I mean, specifically it happens to best of us here, but. Going into the matchup here, rewinding it all the way back, the strategies and stuff that was brought against you guys by Pibble Platoon, was it like stuff you had expected, stuff you had in your notes, or were y'all just coming in intending to play your own style and sort of got thrown off from there?
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think we spent a lot of last evening, we spent a good amount of time as a team sort of planning. We have our spreadsheet for like sort of what we want to ban, what comp we want to play, what we thought Pibble were going to ban, what map we thought they wanted to play, all that sort of stuff. And I mean, it sort of it worked well. It's just we kind of like Joel said, once you get to map 7, we've sort of exhausted all of our like full planned stuff, and then it sort of gets into the like, well, I mean, we can ban BAP, I guess. That's maybe. And it's sort of just like, we've used all the bans that we know we really want to, like the Diva ban and the like Lucio ban. But at that point, that late into the series, it sort of gets to, we're playing maps that no one really wants to play with bans that no one really wanted to ban. And so, not the result we wanted, but I mean, I think I'm pretty proud of everyone on the team. We did really well.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, definitely lots to be proud of here. Starting in, this next question, just reflecting on the season as a whole, EU Masters, everybody was taking maps and matches off of each other. It was back and forth the entire time. Like, what do y'all feel that y'all were able to learn and take away from this season?
I don't know. I think we really learned just how to like problem solve with like the players we have. Like a lot of teams, they brought on like players like for like playoffs or like mid season or whatever. And we've always just played with the same 5 people. Like we always just sort the problems with us. Like we never look for like outside solutions like extra players or whatever. Like if we win together, we lose together. It's just 5 friends trying to win the game basically. It's so we really like kind of like really just helped us to like kind of like solve problems like the hard way. Like voting, like changing out the playstyle or whatever, rather than just like bring in like a player or whatever.
I mean, it's certainly, I really got that sense all the way through this series, and of course all season long, that it was clearly a group of friends who knew how they wanted to play together. But that was this season. I want to look forward a little bit here. What can we expect from you as a team moving forward here past CGL 17? Any plans for that, or still kind of up in the air?
Ooh, I think some people want to do some different things. Some people want to, try things away from Overwatch. Some people are burned out in the game. So this might be it for Playgroup for a while. Maybe we come back, a season or 2 from now. But for now, it's, it might be done for a little bit at least.
Yeah, for now, I think there's some graphs that needs touching, shall we say.
Makes total sense to me. Well, before we let you both go, anyone you want to say thanks to or shout out here on the stream?
Well, shout out to our incredible coach of the season, Bipolar Bear. We couldn't do it without him. Shout out to most of the teams who played in like CGL, all really fun to play against, most of them. Some exception, one exception, but yeah. And shout out to CGL and stuff for all the casters, admins, like production staff, everyone who puts it on. It's a really fun tournament, and we really appreciate being able to play in it.
Yeah, I'd like to say, thank you to my team, obviously. I mean, thank you to Pibble for giving us a good game. Not sort of, I'm sure I don't think anyone wanted like a 4-0. That would have just kind of been pretty boring. And also, thank you to my D&D table who are currently watching the stream because I'm not in their D&D session.
I forgot. I'll also shout out my team. I forgot to do that. Also shout out to my team from me as well. They're great.
Well, glad we got there in the end. So great to hear from both of you. Again, congratulations on a fantastic season all the way through, on so many awards and role stars for your roster here coming into this. No matter how this one shook out, still a huge win for y'all today. Best of luck in whatever awaits you next time.
Yeah, thank you. See you later.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and now, folks, we're going to have a bit of a chat with a couple of our victors here from the winning side. Pibble Platoon, we've got Ghost Town and Shadowy here joining us. Welcome, welcome, both of you. Congrats on the win today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.
I want to just dive right in here and ask, were you expecting to see a full Map 7 series, or did you think this was going to be a pretty quick one for you?
I mean, personally, we were kind of hoping for not a Map 7, especially for everybody's nerves. Like, a lot of the people on the team are, well, some of them are new anyway. Like, Gio, the rookie of the season, he hasn't played anything or scrims before, so we were kind of hoping for an easier game, a little bit of a shorter game, but we're still happy with it regardless and still happy to get the win at the end.
Yeah, I mean, listen, happy to get the win indeed here. So, you know, coming into this matchup, obviously you had to fight your way through lower bracket, coming in, fighting with demons, and then finally going up against a plate group here. Did y'all have any specific sort of plans or anything that you knew coming into this matchup that you knew you'd have to take care of?
I think...
Go on, you go, Ghost. No, you go, you go.
I think coming into this, after our past match with them, in the past, all the times, we've always had to face that ball comp. It's the strongest look, 100%. I think we definitely managed to maneuver around it at times, but there was definitely times where we just felt outnumbered and couldn't do much about it. But on the flip side, we just played what we were good at. We played our rush and a brawl, and we forced some diva when we could, and just worked in our favor at the end of the day.
I think the Cat Bastion as well kind of threw us off a little bit, because all the scrims and warm-ups that we've done, I don't remember the last time we've played against Cat Bastion, so that kind of threw us off a little bit to start with, but we ended up figuring it out eventually.
I mean, listen, figuring it out indeed here. But looking back, not just on this match, the season as a whole, you know, like I talked about previously, it's, you know, this EU Masters tier, it's been a chaotic one. Everybody's taken wins off of each other, maps left, right, and center. No clear, you know, definitive answer one way or the other here. So what do you feel like you guys were able to learn and take away from this season?
Kind of not to doubt ourselves, even when we're the lower seed. Like, we came into both playoffs and the mid-season as the 4th seed, and we ended up getting to finals in mid-season and then winning the whole tier at the end. So I think just trusting each other and not doubting ourselves and our own individual capabilities. Ghost, do you have anything?
I would say, I feel like for myself at least, coming into playoffs, there was other times in the mid-season where I doubted myself a ton, and when we lost, I felt like I was the one to blame a lot of times. But coming into the playoffs, like Shadow, Fefe's, Handball, all said, like, just act like you're the best player in the lobby, and whenever anyone says don't let it get to you, I've kind of just gone with that mindset moving into playoffs and just moved forward, acting like I'm the best one in the lobby and no one's gonna beat us.
I'm glad to hear it. It certainly paid off here, even if it was such a long road to get here. Now, that's looking back. Let's look forward here a little bit. Is there any plans for Pibble Platoon moving forward here in CGL or anywhere else, or is that still kind of up in the air right now?
I mean, I know for at least SD or Shisui, I think he's going to be moving on to another team for CGL, potentially. I think Ghost, you might be taking a break, I think. I don't know, you're still deciding. But I think Pibble in general are going to try to go to GM tier. Like Geo has hit GM, Ghost has hit GM, Suguru has hit GM. Me and Flix are trying to get him to GM, but ranked is a disaster. But yeah, I think we're going to stick together, try and keep the core together, and then go into GM tier for next season.
As for myself, I'll probably stick with Pibble. They're
Yay!
a group of friends I've been with for a long time. Not even just in CGL, just known them for years. I think that means I just go back like to Overwatch 1. So I would like to stick with them some more. Don't know if I'll be playing the game as much as I have been now, because I'd like to kind of branch out a little bit. But definitely still showing up to scrims, definitely still showing up to games and playing with the homies.
The platoon stays together.
I'm glad to hear it, folks. Once again, congratulations to both of you on your win today, on your season overall. You get to hold your heads high moving on into whatever awaits you next. Best of luck moving forward, and congrats once again. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Just shout out everybody on the team, honestly. Ghost as well for picking up the individual capabilities to just be probably one of the best tanks I've seen in a while. Humble as well for helping coach the tanks, Feffy's for coaching us throughout the whole season, all the friends and supporters we've made just for cheering us on and keeping the vibes good, and all the players as well. I love them all, and I'm just very, very proud of them.
I second that. Every player, every management, every friend, every scrim partner, everyone in CGL.
Eclipse. We love Eclipse for helping us warm up for every single game, even though we've scrimmed them maybe like 12 times in the past 2 weeks. We love them.
Big shout out to anyone who is friends with us or has helped us make it here, and I appreciate the journey with everyone.
All right, well, congrats once again. Your grand finals winners here for EU Masters Division. Rest on those laurels for a little bit. We will see you next time CGL has you around.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Well, all right, Megalas. That's going to do it for these grand finals. Any closing thoughts before we wrap up for today's broadcast?
My thoughts left. I've been here for 4 hours. I'm clocked out. That's my thoughts.
More than valid, folks. There is still, I believe there's more happening this evening, right? I think there's still some NA action. If I'm mistaken, then don't worry about it. But hey, maybe pop by, maybe show up here on the Twitch channel just to have a look in case there's something else happening later. But we're still in the depths of our playoffs and finals. I believe this is the first grand finals we've had so far. Of course, a small bracket as this one. But there's still more happening this weekend and into the next week coming. So stay tuned to CGL's 1, 2, and 3 down the line. Plenty more playoffs action to come.